And welcome to the Township Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, August 6th, and we'll call ourselves to order here at 1:03 p.m. First item on the agenda is the national anthem, so I'll get you to stand and face the flag, please. Excellent, thank you. And next I'll ask Councillor Trim to do our land acknowledgement, please.
As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Township of Whitewater Region and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of Indigenous peoples who have taken care of this land for thousands of years.
Thank you. Next item is the adoption of our agenda. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township Whitewater Region approve the August 6, 2025 agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Bell. And I will note there has been one item inserted into the agenda, 10.1. It's in a paper copy if you have it in front of you. It's a zoning bylaw amendment, 17962 Highway 17. So that has been a change since what was issued electronically over the weekend. Given that, I'll take any amendments or changes that anyone would like to make to the agenda. Okay, I see none. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor? And it's carried, unanimous. Thank you. Next is the adoption of some minutes. We have a regular council meeting from July 9th. The recommendation is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the July 9th, 2025 minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Moore. Is there any errors or omissions in those minutes? Okay, I see none, and we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next, we have some closed session minutes of May 2nd, May 21st, and June 4th. 3 sets of minutes for 3 closed sessions. The recommendation is that the Council of Township Whitewater Region approve the closed session minutes of May 2nd, 2025, May 21st, 2025, and June 4th, 2025, understanding that they remain confidential. A mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bell. Any errors or omissions that you want to highlight, understanding that they are confidential? Good. I see none. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It's carried. Anyone against? Excellent. It's carried. Committees and boards. There are 3 sets of committees and boards minutes that have been closed in the agenda, and we'll just go through them with the council reps if they want to make any notes on them. The first one is Muskrat Watershed Council meetings from minutes from June 19th. Our lead, Councillor Tabbert, any comments you want to make to those?
Nothing to add.
Perfect. The second item is this Whitewater Seniors minutes from May 22nd. I'll go to Councillor Trim. Anything you want to add? Okay, seeing nothing. And the last one is the South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board report and minutes from the February, March, and May meetings. And this is Councillor Tabbert again. Anything you want to highlight?
Yes, just to remind people to participate in the survey the OPP are doing for our detachment area. It's very important to do. It's concerning our strategic plan and where we want to go in the future. Thank you.
Where do we find it?
Yeah, it was online. Yeah, I passed it out to everybody at one point. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. If the clerk could resend out, and our social media reflects, yeah, thank you, CAO. Okay, so good. Thanks, Councillor Tabbert. Good reminder. Next item is number 5, our disclosures of interest. Is there any disclosures that members of council has to make for any of the agenda items listed today? And I see none. And just remind me, clerk, if Councillor Olmsted is able to join us later, that I don't forget to ask him.
So he may not be here, and if he is, he may be late.
Okay. Perfect. Excellent. Next item on the agenda is our public meetings. Yeah, I just was realizing this. Council, if you just give me a second here to, what we have is we have a guest in the audience that's here to do a presentation. And for the Bernadette McCann House. And what we'd like to do is, if I could, change the agenda because there are 4 separate presentations in our public meeting portion. So I would like to ask if council would consider taking item 7.1, specifically the presentation from Bernadette McCann, and bringing it up to this point in the agenda and then proceeding with the public meeting after that. Would someone be prepared to move that? Yep. Good. So we've got Councillor, a seconder, yep. Deputy Mayor, and I'll call straight for a vote. All those in favor? And it's carried unanimously. Excellent. So just for the people in the audience, we're just amending the agenda knowing that sometimes our public speakers don't want to stay for the half an hour or more of our public meeting portion for the zoning bylaw amendments. So with that, we're going to move into item 7.1. We're going to have Mrs. Leigh Sweeney, the Executive Director from Bernadette McCann, come to the podium and would like to do a presentation to us. So welcome, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm just going to pass those around. Pass them around if you want to take the seat. Thanks, Carmen. Your directions were great, and I appreciate you fitting me in today. So, as mentioned by Neil, I'm Leigh Sweeney. I'm the Executive Director of Bernadette McCann House. I am really here today not to ask for anything from you, except for you to become more aware of our services. And by that, specifically outside of the shelter. We've done a really great job teaching people about Bernadette McCann House, but we have vast services that are available, and we feel that a lot of people don't know about those services, and each one of us will be working with people on a regular basis, noticing things, maybe uncomfortable with asking our employees, friends, family members, how they're doing, if you suspect that this issue may be prevalent. So this page that I've given you gives you kind of an overview of our services that are available outside of the shelter. People can text us, email us, phone us. They don't have to identify themselves. You can call yourself if you're concerned about someone, just to run a question by the caseworker. You will not get an answering machine. There is a live person on the other end of that phone. So I'm going to run through and then allow you to ask any questions in case I haven't covered anything. The outreach program is covers the county. Our services are countywide. Included in those services is the family court process. So That just really is a service for men and women who are going through the family court system, who need help, online, filling in forms, maybe connecting up to a lawyer, which is very limited in Renfrew County, people who do the family law. And again, it is for men and for women who are experiencing the system. Transitional support program, that's really around people who are transitioning, whether they're transitioning to employment, education, again, that is male and female, who are experiencing domestic violence. Also includes survivors of human trafficking. That is also a growing concern within our field. We also have, only in that program, a Francophone worker. The rest of our programs are not Francophone or French. It's just special funding that we got for this particular program. We run groups as well, so groups for moms and for kids. We also are involved in the Partner Assault program. So Living with Violence runs the program for men. We actually run the program. We are purchased a service through them to work with women who have been charged. So we're kind of working on both sides of that fence. And we have done that probably for about 12 years with that program. We also run services for men. That would include the Caring Dads program, dads who want to be better dads. And prior to last year, we had a partnership with Family and Children's Services. We are now kind of going on our own, and we will be implementing another program called Safety and Repair. This is a program out of Nova Scotia. It's with a gentleman who actually was involved with the inquest there. And the concept really is about working with men and with women, prioritizing safety and really looking at the values of, particularly with children. Our focus really is around the children, and when you see that with the family court process, you will see that in the shelter. In the outreach program, we run programs in the school system. We work with kids, quite a few kids throughout the county. There are 3 full-time children and youth workers, 1 in the shelter and 2 on the outreach program. And we also run several groups. So pattern changing, setting patterns. These are groups that really look at self-esteem. Self-esteem is one, sorry, I'm repeating myself. Really looking at boundaries, setting boundaries, looking at moving forward, not getting stuck, and not being a victim, moving to survivor, thriver, really looking at where you're at and where you want to be in that process. And one other item I would really like to mention is around our donations. So our organization, when we get donations from the community, those donations go directly to the clients. We don't fund programs or services. We don't run anything on those donated dollars. So when we have a request, which we have had numerous requests, particularly in the last year or 2, with this Bernadette fund, we call it, and that allows us to help with what's needed. So if a child wants to play hockey or soccer, we will pay that registration fee. If a woman needs help with rent, we will try and help her with that. We've purchased tires for a woman who couldn't get to work. Car tires were done. And so what's so nice about it is it's flexible. We don't have to fill in 50 million forms. And we actually can turn the money over, purchase the item fairly quickly for someone in need. Okay, so as I said, I wasn't asking for anything in particular, but what I would like to know is if I could sort of see how many people didn't know about that other piece of our services, anything that I may have mentioned today. Okay, thanks for that. It's good to know. It's good to know. It means we have to do more public education, obviously. And were there any questions in particular?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Leigh. Any questions from council? Good. I have a couple. Partnerships within municipalities. We have ConnectWell that provides primary care within our community. We have the Community Resource Center out of Killaloe provides a lot of services, especially the young mums, as well as different youth programming, I believe. Do you have partnerships with these other organizations? Is that an inroad for our residents to be able to be referred to?
We do with ConnectWell because we use space. Space is an issue for us, and we have to be very aware of the challenge around that. Sometimes people don't want to use church space, for example. So we're a little selective, and ConnectWell has provided that opportunity for us. We do run some programs in connection with others, like the Women's Sexual Assault Center, for example, has recently asked us if we want to partner and do some groups. We're currently in a partnership with the Pembroke Regional Hospital, and that has to do with employment and working with clients who want to get back into employment, but there's some challenges with that, and a lot of that again revolves around domestic violence, what's happening at home, where the kids are. It's a complex issue, a lot more complex than you realize. So we're very open to partnerships for sure.
Perfect. The other organization I thought of just when you were mentioning some of the other partnerships was the elder abuse.
Yes.
We have a very active seniors community, a very active seniors active living center. Is that another area that you offer partnerships and programming in?
We don't have an age limit to our services, and we do connect up with that program as well from time to time when we need to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything else that you think the municipality might be able to offer you? I know you said space was usually a constraint for you. Is there something else that?
It would be great if you could have our papers and stuff sort of lying around. You know, this is an issue. It doesn't really touch you until it does. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? What do I do now? Sometimes it's just having something lying around that people can pick up and read and call or text for sure to connect up. Sometimes it's having someone around this table helping them make that first call. For sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other questions? Does that stem anything else from council? Excellent. Good. Leigh, thank you very much for taking the time to come in here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Perfect. That's the exact connection I was hoping that would be made. That's perfect. Excellent. With that, we're going to keep moving on. So anybody who just joined us, we just amended the agenda to insert the presentation from Leigh Sweeney, but we'll now move back to our original agenda. We're on item 6, which is a public meeting. So here what we do is we pause the regular council meeting, open a separate public meeting that's required as per the Planning Act, and we'll bring that public meeting to order. So I'll just go through the spiel to open this public meeting. Again, our regular council meeting is just paused. So the public meeting is now brought to order at 1:23 p.m. and it's been convened to hear comments and receive information from the public regarding 4 proposed applications to amend the Township of Whitewater Region's zoning bylaw in accordance with the Planning Act. Motions are posted in the report, subsequently in the report section for discussion, but this will take place after the public meeting. The public meeting is for us to receive input from the public to aid us in our decisions that we'll take later on in the meeting. So with that being said, I'll turn the meeting over to the planner for some more details about some of the conditions.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'll just read over a planner's statement that is taken from the Planning Act and its regulations. If any person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Whitewater Region before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal. The person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. And just 2 more paragraphs here. Under Section 3411 of the Planning Act, if council decides to refuse an application or refuses or neglects to make a decision on an application within 120 days of the municipal clerk receiving the application, the applicant or the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing may appeal to the tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. And under Section 3419 of the Planning Act, it states that not later than 20 days after giving notice of passing of the bylaw, the applicant or person or public body who made oral submissions at the public meeting or who made written submissions to council before the bylaw was passed, or the minister may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you, Clerk, or CAO, appreciate that. Excellent, so we're going to start with the first one, which is a zoning amendment for Ross Concession 4 East, Part Lot 20, 1142 Magnesium Road, and I'll turn it back over to the CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much. And for clarity for the members of council and the mayor, the 2 applications that will be presented to council are being received for information and public consultation purposes. So the first 2 applications you'll hear today will be for information purposes and to gather public comments. This is a public meeting, and if there's anybody from the public that wishes to speak, they could. Those 2 applications will come back at a later council agenda for decision making. So at this point in time, those 2 applications, there's some outstanding items which I'll discuss, and we're not prepared staff to make a recommendation on the file, so therefore they will receive the public input and return in September with the final recommendation to council. So the first application pertains to the property at 1142 Mineview Road. This is the former Ross Mineview Public School. Members and the public will be familiar with this property. It borders on the corner of Mineview Road and Magnesium Road, and formerly held a school. The property has a regular shape, a width of 204 meters, depth of 124 meters, and quite a large property, 4.9 acres. And the building, based on our inspections on July 16th and 25th, it has been converted to accommodate 3 residential units without sort of advanced approval. So we became aware of the said property following the zoning amendment application by the owner. So the owner is seeking, in fact, to have a 4th residential unit on the property. And while we met with him with his zoning amendment application, we became aware that there was 3 existing units for which no building permits had been issued. So we requested the owner for us to go on site and inspect, which we did on July 16th and again on July 25th. And it was observed that presently there are 3 residential units in the space. The property is surrounded by county roads and basically residential bush lots in all other directions. So as I've noted, the proponent is seeking amendment to the comprehensive zoning bylaw to modify the current zoning from general industrial exception 4 to residential 2 zone, as well as to redefine the term of fourplex dwelling as follows. So essentially the property is currently within an industrial zone, exception 4, and I'll speak to that very shortly when I get to the zoning bylaw provisions. That is as a result of a previous zoning amendment, but the proponent's looking to move it back to residential 2 zone and have 4 residential units in the space. So recognizing that housing, we're presently, I guess, in a realm of a housing crisis, as our provincial agencies may announce. So while the form and the use of the property is probably good, converting an old school to residential uses, the mechanism by which the proponent has, or the owner has decided to move forward with that without proper approvals is not the right approach. So, essentially, I'll speak a little bit more about the process here. So, as noted, the provincial policy statement generally supports residential development on rural lands. So the property is defined as rural lands in the PPS. While it is supported residential uses, we need to ensure that it's suitable to provide private water and wastewater uses. So recognizing that the property is quite large, formerly had a school, we are going to request that he provide some additional information relating to the septic system to ensure that it could meet the capacity of 4 units, but we're pretty confident that the septic system in place currently will comply with the proposed use. Secondly, the official plan of the County of Renfrew, so the parcel is within a rural land use designation, which is consistent with our PPS. Rural designations comprise lands for residential purposes, as well as other resource lands. So the rural designation does allow for low-density residential uses. Again, that can be supported by rural services. And then just recognizing that the rural uses, whether existing or proposed, should be consistent in character with the rural area and recognize natural resources and the like. So as it pertains to the current zoning, so with respect to our comprehensive zoning bylaw, so back in 2007, so in 2007, the property was sold to a sort of a helicopter refurbishment company. So the school closed, I don't know exactly the year, but shortly thereafter, or some years thereafter, I'm not sure, shortly or some years after. In 2007, it was purchased by a private company for the purposes of having a helicopter repair shop. So in 2007, they amended the zoning bylaw, which was the former Ross zoning bylaw, to permit the additional use of a helicopter repair shop. So as I understand it, based on discussions with former councillors and former staff, that use did exist for a short period of time, for about 1 or 2 years. And it does appear that there were some helicopters in the space that were being refurbished, maybe 1 or 2, not many, but 1 or 2 as far as I've heard. So it existed for approximately 2 years, and then the current owner purchased in more or less 2010. So from 2007 to 2010, there was a helicopter repair shop. The current owner did operate a textile promotional product business, that Warrior Gear business, and also resided in a dwelling unit that existed when he purchased. So there was already a dwelling unit in the space that existed when he purchased. However, in 2018, there was a fire that occurred on the property, and the dwelling unit and portions of the Warrior Gear business basically burnt. And what remained was garage space and portions of the former school, which may have been used for the businesses, but did not have any residential occupancy in what exists today. So what's there today, no, there was never any approvals for residential occupancy. As I've noted, presently the building contains 3 dwelling units connected by a common internal corridor. It has a large garage space with a mechanical room. And again, we became aware of the space as a result of the application for zoning amendment. So following our site visits, we will note to council that we did issue, maybe before I speak to that, so in order to permit the intended use, being the fourplex, an amendment to the zoning bylaw is certainly required. So we did conduct separate site visits, one on July 16th, the other one on the 25th. We noted significant modifications. There was plumbing work done, electrical work, internal walls, insulation, and the like, all without any proper approvals under the Ontario Building Code. Following our inspection on July 25th, the township did issue an order to comply, recognizing that the owner needs to submit complete drawings and get proper approvals for those 3 units. Owner received the order to comply in person and is aware of the ramifications around that. So together with that order to comply, we are working through some requirements under the Environmental Protection Act, namely the requirement for a record of site condition. So essentially what happens is under the provincial regulations, when you change a use from industrial or commercial to residential, there is a requirement to do some type of environmental work. So what that does, it ensures that any future habitant of the space, like for the residential uses, will not be impacted by any environmental concerns on the property. So that environmental assessment, it's done through phases, phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 is merely a desktop exercise. It looks at what were previous uses. It might look at aerial photography from back in the day. And then phase 2, it'll actually take the locations where there may have been fuel tanks or any of the potential contaminants, and then they'll actually do boreholes in those areas and test the soil in those areas to determine whether or not there's actual contaminant on site. And then the legislation will speak to what needs to be done to remediate, whether they need to do that or not for the residential uses. So that requirement is expressed together in the official plan of the County of Renfrew, which is, again, our official plan. And the recommendation from staff is that the owner proceed with that process based on the information we have to date. So there's some outstanding things. One is the building is not in compliance, the current building. So I would be hesitant to recommend approval for the 4th unit until everything gets, all the outstanding matters get rectified. So we're seeking that the proponent get the record of site condition complete, the environmental stuff done, and continue to work with our staff to get compliance for the other 3 units. I think that pretty well summarizes my lengthy report. Thanks.
Thanks, CAO. So we'll just make sure that there's, first question is there applicant available or would like to speak to this, clerk? Is there anything, the applicant? No, so no applicant is there any questions or comments from members of the public who might be here? Okay, I see none. Is there anybody who's offered any feedback in writing to you, clerk?
I've received none, and nobody's on Zoom.
Perfect. Good. Is there any questions from members of the council? Councillor Trim.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the CAO, I noted in your report that going to ensure that there's adequate capacity for septic waste. I didn't see any requirement to ensure that there would be enough potable water or water to service the units.
Yeah, so it would be common practice to, it would be practice to require sort of a full hydrogeological and nitrate impact assessment. Given the size of the property and the proposed use, I think that there's a level of confidence that there'll be a good supply of water on site, given the previous use and proposed use. But we do want to, like, the water component is less of a requirement for the municipality to confirm. I think we're more focused on the septic system. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions from members of council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Just so you know, that's my old stomping ground. That's where I was grade 1 to 6. The time frame, do we know what kind of a time frame we're looking at to get any of these resolved, all of these issues resolved?
I would say that if an engineering company is hired in the immediate future, they could likely have the record of site condition in probably 2 to 3 months, perhaps. The proponent is already working with a designer, an architect, because they were planning that 4th unit. But that designer, it appears as though he's going to retain that designer to do the remaining of the building. So we could expect that if the proponent chooses to move forward with this, that we'll see some progress in the next 2 or 3 months.
Thank you, Mayor. And just one last thing. As far as safety, fire department, because you have three in there now, is there anything that should be done through our fire department to ensure safety of the people that are already in there?
Yeah, so we did involve the fire department in both of our inspections. So July 16th, our fire assistant, Julie Butala, was present, and on the 25th, our fire chief was present, Chief McLaren. So while there are some omissions around fire protection, the proposal was that in lieu of requesting that they vacate the space, is that we have a phased implementation approach. So the first phase would be immediately install smoke detectors and CO detectors in certain spaces, among a few other things. So that, and then the second phase is, covering insulation that's been placed. So Jonathan, our fire chief's approach was it'd be best that they stay in the space presently, because who knows where they might end up, whether that other space is as safe or safer, that we take this phased approach. At the same time, it'll help bring the building up to compliance. So that was the approach.
Thank you, Mayor. That's everything.
Any other members of council? Councillor Tabbert.
So am I to understand that we have a former schoolhouse being used as a resident area with 3 people living in it, and no one was aware of this? And now we're allowing them to remain there, even though we don't know how safe it is, if they put in their own electrical, their own plumbing. Do we have, I don't know, I'm really concerned here that we have people living in a place that isn't safe, and we're saying, oh, don't worry about it, well, we're working on it. Am I misreading something here?
So maybe to answer the first question, we've only became aware of it as a result of the proponent, the owner, coming to see us for a zoning amendment. So that was when we first became aware of it. I think, we're not saying that go ahead and live there, it's all good. We're saying there are some serious and potential issues around it. I guess there is a level of comfort with our building inspector with respect to some of the work that was completed, some of the plumbing work, some of the electrical work that was done with a contractor, and we met with the contractor. We are trying to put in place some measures to ensure the safety of the inhabitants, but it was expressed to me from our fire chief that if we chose to deem the building unsafe, we might not know where the residents decide to reside. They might not have family members to reside with. They might not have a separate location to go. And it was felt that if we're seeing continued progress in compliance, that and the immediate implementation of smoke detectors and the like, that it would position the tenants, the inhabitants, in a safer position than they are now, and potentially other locations where they might choose to reside. But the issuance of an order to comply, the issuance of the letter with respect to records of site condition, is not saying that we approve of you. We're not saying we don't care about it. We do care. We think it's important that they comply, and the minute that we don't see progress to compliance, then we'll have to decide what other actions we take. But for the present moment, this is the approach we're choosing.
Good. Councillor Moore.
Just one very maybe minute or not. If this becomes a fourplex, do we still qualify to do the building inspections with our current system?
Most definitely, yeah. So I believe even at a fourplex, the building itself will be inspected by our building inspectors. The septic will not exceed the 10,000 liters per day, so the approval authority for the septic will remain the township.
Okay, thank you.
Good, and I can appreciate the concerns. Sorry, and I'll come back to you in a sec. Is there anybody concerned with the zoning amendment? Any feedback on the zoning amendment going from industrial to residential, rural residential in this case, up to a fourplex? Is there any feedback or comments on that? Good. Councillor Tabbert.
I'm not sure where to bring this up in a meeting. I know it's not now, but we're discussing it. How do we stop people from doing these things? This is the second one that I know of recently where somebody has done renovations and not contacted the township, and here we are in a position again where we're working backwards. I'm not sure where to bring this in. I know this isn't the place for it, so I just want to throw that out there too. We have to be able to get a handle on this. I mean, I know I said two, but I know there's been more, but it just seems like people are trying to get under everything and then come back and apologize. And I've actually just read a report in online in a newspaper that more and more people are doing this. So is there any way we can get a handle on this eventually, but not today?
There is a notice of motion. So you could have a notice of motion to force a discussion at a future council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, good. CAO?
Yeah, and I don't know the metrics for other municipalities. I mean, we might manage 4 or 5 of these a year out of 260 permits or 200 permits. So the percentage is relatively low, but I mean, it goes with any regulation, just like speeding on the road. I mean, people are always speeding. You can't stop that. You could try to reduce it with signage and the like, but you're never going to stop it. So it's just like any regulation. Thanks.
Yeah. Good, and we have to be, from a safety perspective, that's really the thing that sits with me. But I know we have the fire chief, we have the building inspectors, both have independent authorities, independent of us, to dictate what happens with those facilities. The corporation, the taxpayers that we represent, we don't want them to become liable for any potential risk of saying they're safe. So to me, it's in the right hands with our 2 key members of staff and the CAO/planner. The existing situation is being resolved through the correct process. The proposal for it to become a fourplex is still ongoing at the same time. We're achieving both at the same time. Good. Is there any other questions or comments from council? Yes, Councillor Tabbert.
Having said that the fourplex can go ahead, though, that won't happen until the other 3 are brought up to
It's
standards,
conditional upon
correct?
the other.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah, but we're not forcing one to stop while the other, the process by which to get to the point of approval for a fourplex doesn't stop. It will continue on. It just won't get approved until absolutely everything else is addressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, fair. Good. I'm just going to throw one comment out there. It doesn't impact my perspective on this application, but when I look at the amount of industrially zoned properties in the township, we don't have very many. In fact, we have very few open such as this, and it just points in my mind that we need to make sure that we have a plan to address the lack of industrial zone space, to welcome industries to our community if they knock on the door and say, I want to start a business here. This will be one less property where that's an opportunity that exists already. Good. CEO, anything to conclude that? Okay, good. All right, let's move on to the second item, which is the zoning amendment D14-211 at 17962 Highway 17. And I'll turn it over to the CAO for overview.
Yeah, thanks so much. And this is another report that will not come back later in the agenda for decision or for recommendation. Recommendation and decision. So the present application is submitted by Kyle and Janelle Hood. It's the property at 17962 Highway 17. It's the property just leaving the village of Cobden towards Pembroke, and it's on your right side, or so the lake side. So the property is surrounded by the provincial highway to the west, and then residential farm uses in all other directions. Forgot to note, thanks council for the delayed delivery of this report. So I'll kind of go through it in a little bit more detail just so that you have a chance to walk through it with me, just because it was only delivered earlier today or later today. So the property in question has an area of 0.68 acres. It has a width of 47 meters, depth of 52 meters. Presently, the property contains a dwelling unit and 2 accessory structures. One accessory structure, which is the subject of the present application, has an area of 1,200 square feet. It's a garage, which is 30 by 40, and was built in 2022. When the application was filed for the garage building, which is closer to the Highway 17, on the plan in front of you, it's the closest building to Highway 17. The house is actually on the back left side. And then so in 2022, the owners applied for the application for a permit to construct the garage. And at that time, we indicated to them that they would be required to get MTO approvals because of its proximity to Highway 17 within 45 meters. And in July 22, MTO permit was issued for the residential garage. In the winter of last year, 2024, we became aware that the garage was being utilized for commercial purposes based on a large sign posted on the building that says local meets, as well as the open and closed posted sign in the window. In November, December 2024, the township corresponded with the owner to discuss their observations, and it was confirmed that a small portion of the space of the garage is being utilized for commercial purposes, which is basically consisting of the retail sale of frozen meats. Then the owner was informed at that point in time, which is shown on attachment 2 to the report here, through way of letter, that they must cease operations or obtain compliance. Compliance meaning get a new permit from MTO, apply for a zoning amendment, and complete what was the outstanding building permit together with a change of use. So that was in our letter to the owner on December 13th. So the proposal before us, which was finally applied for on June 26, 2025, was to rezone the property to allow for the use of a retail store as a home industry within an accessory structure having an area of 205 square feet. So of the 1,200 square foot space of the garage, only 200 square feet of the garage is being used for the commercial business. I will skip right down to engagement only because it has the most value to the present report. So the township, following the receipt of the zoning amendment application, we circulated the Ministry of Transportation, and we did so through the MTO portal. The township did receive an objection shown on attachment 3 of the report from Robert Cole. So we did receive correspondence from MTO, the corridor management planner, with the Ministry of Transportation. He basically indicated that the proposal to add a commercial use cannot be supported based on their policies. And he further mentioned that the original permit was issued in good faith for residential purposes. As such, they would not approve the commercial use or development on that lot. So essentially, what we have before council today is an application to allow for this commercial use, and the Ministry of Transportation Ontario saying that they would not support the issuance of a permit. So we told the owner they need to do three things. One is get MTO approval, get the zoning amendment, and then also get a building permit. Well, one of the three things is unachievable because the MTO is indicating that they would not issue the work permit. If I just move back forward ahead here, so the MTO does have their own sort of guidelines around development and their own policies, which is what referenced by Mr. Cole. But our provincial policy statement and our official plan and our zoning bylaw all speak about transportation corridors and a variety of policies around it. So one thing to note in the PPS is that the planning authority shall not permit development in planned corridors that could preclude or negatively affect the use of the corridor for purposes for which it was identified. And it further states that new development proposed on adjacent lands to existing corridors or transportation facilities should be compatible with and supportive of the long-term purposes of the corridor and should be designed to avoid any negative impact. So I think what Mr. Cole is saying is that the proposed commercial use, in their view, does not comply with their policies and would have a negative impact on that transportation corridor. While small, would still have an impact on the corridor. So the official plan of the County of Renfrew, again, essentially reiterates the same policies from the PPS. However, it does speak a little bit more. It does specify that entrances serving home occupations, home industries, or businesses adjacent to provincial highways require an approval from MTO. And what we're getting from MTO is that they're not prepared to issue the permit. So typically MTO will be required that the property owner obtain an entrance permit and a sign permit if necessary. And then further in our zoning bylaw, I speak a little bit about what a home industry is. So it's defined as a gainful occupation. Could include electrical, carpentry, woodworking, welding, plumbing, machine or auto repair shop, service shop. The one thing to note is that it does not allow for retail stores, so that's why the proposal from Mr. Hood is that he would include a retail store in a home industry. And then we also have transportation policies in our zoning bylaw. that speak about the requirement to consult with the ministry within control areas of 45 meters of the highway. So as part of our next steps, so after we received the comments from Mr. Cole, I did email the owners suggesting that they had a couple options moving forward, and that is noted in my under next steps in my report. So the options that were presented to Mr. and Mrs. Hood were that they either continue with the zoning amendment, for which we're having our public meeting today, and that council would, they could seek out a decision of council at our next council meeting. But I did note that based on the comments from the MTO, it would be difficult for the planner to recommend the approval of the application based on MTO's objection. Option number 2 was to withdraw the application and cease all the commercial operations immediately. And if he chose to do that, then they may receive a refund of the cost of the application based on what work had not been conducted yet. Now, that email was sent last week. We've since drafted a report, and now we're hosting the public meeting. So while we may have chosen to provide a refund more or less around $700, that's amount's probably changed now that we've had the council meeting. But we've received no response from the owners before writing of this report. So looking for some insight or looking for some comments from the public, if any, if there are any, and then any comments or questions from council. Thanks so much.
Thank you, CAO. Clerk, can you confirm if the applicant would like to speak on their behalf?
I see no one.
Oh, perfect. Any comments from members of the public? Good, I see none, and nothing online or in writing.
Correct.
Okay. Good. Open it up to council. Is there any questions or comments from council? Yeah, Councillor Moore.
I'm a little confused here. In the former village of Cobden, we can put in a Tim Hortons, but in the former Ross Township, on the outer limits of the village of Cobden, we can't put in you couldn't even count the cars compared to what Tim Hortons is doing. I just don't understand the difference between the two.
And I can't speak to the differences amongst the two. I'm not sure that it's a matter of being within or outside the village boundary. I just think that the in the case of the other commercial businesses on the highway, they do apply for and obtain approvals from the Ministry of Transportation. I think that if the way I understand the comments from Mr. Cole is that the approach taken by the owners to convert it without proper approvals is probably weighing in on his recommendation one way, but also if the proponent originally came with a commercial business there, it may not, that garage may not have been approved from the get-go, subject to maybe some significant improvements to the highway. We could look at the neighbor where the Whitewater Brewery is, where they have both a restaurant and the brewery space. I mean, they've had to incorporate turning lanes and the like for the business. Now, recognizing the scope is different, but the approach taken by the proponent is probably not the right approach, and the MTO, based on the application, they give the opinion that it does not align with their policies.
Thank you for the information. That helped.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other comments or questions from council? No, I'll just highlight again. It becomes Councillor Bell, please.
Along those same lines where, yeah, the brewery's 1 or 2 spots away from this garage, but there's also a number of other small businesses. There's Helferty's across the road. There's the chip truck just down the road. There's another pizza place just down the road. There's McLaren's. Like, this stretch of highway has lots of, maybe the approach wasn't right. Who knows what happened as far as the communication, whether the decision was made after, but I would have a hard time telling somebody who's running a small operation with a couple of vehicles probably going in on a daily basis that they have to cease operations on their small business because they made a mistake in the way that they approached it. That's just my feeling on that.
Perfect. Any question or counter?
Yeah, I can't speak for Mr. Cole as it pertains to the approach. The indication in the email was that it does not comply with their policies.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one follow-up comment. So the, in the next steps, in option number 1, it was to continue with this meeting that's currently occurring, noting that the township planner will have to recommend a refusal. If planner recommends a refusal, but council, like, is the option of council to say the building exists, there aren't any current issues, there haven't been any issues, there's a number of different businesses that probably operate on a grander scale than what this business does on a daily basis. Is there the opportunity for council to say, or recommend just continue to let them operate as they are?
Yeah, so that would bring a couple complexities. So one of the matters that might occur is if council does approve the zoning, it would open up a door for an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by the Ministry of Transportation Ontario. They could potentially appeal the decision of council to the tribunal. So that would be one avenue for the MTO to sort of empower their policies. The other complexity, which would be under the Ontario Building Code, it states that in order to issue a permit, you need to meet applicable law. And if the CBO is not provided with the proper permits from MTO, then it would not meet applicable law. So while the use might be permitted in zoning, the proponent might not be able to obtain a change of use permit under the Ontario Building Code. So that would be the other complexity that we'd have to investigate if that was a decision of council. So the example would be is when the individual was proposing the original residential garage, we could not issue the permit because it did not comply with applicable law, which means you need an MTO approval within 45 meters of the highway. So when the first permit came in for the garage, we did not issue it because it did not comply with the Ontario Building Code. And then we got the work permit, then we issued the permit. So the commercial component of it, the change of use to allow for commercial uses, would necessitate a building permit, which would provide some complexity to our CBO to be able to issue that.
Yes.
Sorry, last comment on this. So is there any way for the owners to appeal to the MTO to reconsider their direction on what the response that they've provided the township?
Yes, most definitely. And I think that would be, one of the approaches. If the proponent is seeking to continue this thing forward, they should consult with MTO directly, with Mr. Cole, and see if they could come to some terms or compromise, without a doubt. Yes.
Good. An excellent discussion as it pertains to Highway 17 and development in this area of the township. You guys are familiar with Whitewater Metals. That business required a whole new road to be put in. Valley Bio was looking for a work permit, a building permit for silos. MTO would not provide that for them. For the development here in Cobden, if BEI is to develop their lands around Astrolab, it will impact the number of vehicles entering the highway off of Astrolab, and MTO will dictate what that permit will look like. So you're understanding our future development and the impact Highway 17 has on it is important. And I know staff have been working behind the scenes. I think Manager of Public Works is trying to coordinate an opportunity for us to meet with the corridor manager about it. Now, it's not specific to this problem, but it's the grander, how do we ensure that development can occur in the areas that we prioritize that to occur? But this isn't an exception to a situation. This is the same for everyone. So I put it forward. There's a lot more information for us to understand on this one, and we'll continue to gather it up as this thing proceeds based on what the proponent decides. Anything you want to add, Sahil?
Yeah, maybe just, I think, I haven't really reviewed the proposed use in a land use sort of approach. Like, should we allow for retail stores, small or not, on our residential properties? Home occupations, home industries are not commonly retail stores. They're like, sort of like personal service establishments like hairdressers. Like a retail store brings it into a different scope, because while it may only be 200 square feet, I mean, we could think of some of our businesses that exist today that are only 200 square feet, and they get over 50, 60, 70 customers over their lunch hour. So size is not always relative to the amount of traffic. It's the type of use, if you will. So it's I'd have to put some more thought into it. But I mean, this MTO thing has always been a stick in the spokes. If you can't get through that, then it poses a pretty big issue.
Good.
Sorry, one more last comment. If the owners of this establishment just said, okay, we won't operate out of the garage, but we'll operate out of the existing dwelling that's already here, i.e. we'll move our freezers from the garage to a shed out back, like, does that affect this application as far as if they're not utilizing the garage, which is the issue with this entrance permit? Is that a way?
So I think it remains sort of a home occupation, whether it's and a home occupation, it does not really allow for retail sales, retail store. I mean, these exist. I mean, there's vegetable stands throughout our community, but they are consolidated with agricultural operations. So there's a bit of a different approach to this here.
But we need to have a vision on this. This isn't going to be the last one that comes to us in this area, Highway 17. Just as an example, we have property across from the livestock auction mart. It's all for sale right now. 5 or 6 acres there that someone buys it, they're going to be looking for an entry permit and either a home or a business to put in there. It's the same situation. Anyway, it's good. We thank you for bringing it to council today, CAO, and although there's been no public input, we'll continue to see what the proponent decides and go from there. Good. With that, we'll move on to the third item, which is zoning amendment D14-212. This is at 2815 Queens Line. And CAO, if you can give us a brief summary, please.
Yeah, thanks so much. Let me just get caught up with you here. So the present application is for the property at 2815 Queens Line. It's interesting you mentioned Whitewater metal with respect to the previous application, because this is a very, very similar application to that. Whitewater metal, however, started with the home industry that grew to 5,000 square feet, which is now grown to much larger than that. So this is the first phase, if you will, in comparison to Whitewater metal. So what we have here before council is a proposal to increase the maximum gross floor area of a home industry within the accessory structure from 100 square meters or 1,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet for the purposes of operating a cabinet shop. So the owner, Mr. Bowman, has acquired this property. Property currently contains the farmhouse, a barn, and five sheds, and is entirely surrounded by agricultural uses. So with respect to the official plan, the property is within an agricultural designation in the official plan. The agricultural designation does allow for sort of on-farm diversified uses and home industries and home occupations that are together with residences. So the proposed use is permitted within the county Renfrew official plan. The property is within the agricultural exception 18 zone. Exception 18 zone my apologies. I'm not entirely sure what the exception 18 zone is, but I will have that look at that very shortly. But I will speak to our new zoning bylaw does specifically speak to on-farm diversified uses. What on-farm diversified uses are uses that exist on farms that utilize the farm properties that provide for diversification of uses. So it allows for property owners who are providing agricultural uses to allow for other types of uses. So in that on-farm diversified use, it does allow for home occupations, home industries, and agritourism type uses, things that bring value to the existing property. So in the case, the addition of a carpenter shed conforms with the intent of the on-farm diversified use policies, and it will support value-added agricultural products by allowing the processing, enhancement, and transformation of raw materials into those cabinets. The proponent has confirmed that he'll comply with all of Section 3.9. So Section 3.9 of our zoning bylaw speaks to home industries and home occupations, speaks about restrictions around open storage, speaks about the size. He'll comply with all other provisions other than that maximum size. So staff are supportive of the application, subject to any input from the public or members of council. And that's all I have for that one. Thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you. And I recognize the proponent is here. Would he like to speak? If you do, I have to ask you to come to the mic, turn it on, and just introduce yourself. If you don't, that's fine.
You can't do the survey?
So I'm speaking on behalf of my son Lowell. I'm his dad, and we want to build a cabinet shop because the one that's on the Queen's Line will likely come to naught next spring. His brother's coming from the north and buying that farm, so that shop will likely not be there anymore. So in case anybody is wondering if there's going to be 2 cabinet shops within a half a mile, the one will likely die out. And so I guess what we're here today for is to see if we can put a cabinet shop there, and we understand that we have to do a zone change. And I guess what I'm here for partly is to see if it's going to get approved, so we can go ahead with this shop, 50 by 100. And I can show you on the map if you want to where we're going to put it. I don't know if you have to know that or not today as councillor or not. Anyways, that's I guess what I was wondering then, but I guess I'll likely get a letter saying exactly how much of an area that gets changed over to commercial. Like, does it go over to the laneway then, or is it just the shop itself, or does a parking lot, or like, I guess likely we don't really know going forward. We were told council will decide that, so I'm guessing at some point, can anybody comment on that?
Let's get the CAO to comment on
Yeah,
that. What
so
does
the
it look
question
like?
is whether or not the whole property is zoned to allow for the home industry, so it would be the entirety of the property. So we would recognize that the building comprising the home industry has a maximum size of 5,000 square feet. However, the remaining of the property, parking, driveways, will continue to exist to support the business as well. Yeah. But we could discuss offline as well, those details.
Thank you.
Perfect. Anything else? Excellent. Good. Thank you. Good. And with that, I will just ask if there's any other members of the public that would like to make comment. Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to confirm if we received any comments in writing or virtual.
We received none.
Excellent. And with that, I'll open it up to council. Any questions or comments from council? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Just one question. So is this right now, is this zoned agricultural at this very moment?
Yes, currently it's just agriculture, yes.
Okay, because is there not an issue with putting a business in agricultural property?
So this property is not a 100-acre property. It's not like a full-scale farming operation. It's been severed off from the original holding, but so the way that the province examines these things is that they recognize that it is common practice to have other types of uses that can be supported by agricultural like zones. Within the guidelines from the province, they establish that home industries or home occupations are generally consolidated with farming operations. So in the view of the land use planning, there's no issue with this. There's no concern. We're not removing lands from crops or livestock.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from members of council? Councillor Tabbert and Councillor Moore.
So I'm not sure I understand this. So he wants to increase the maximum gross floor area. So the building is already there, and they're just going from this little spot here to this, but they aren't building.
I believe so. I believe the building is existing. No, it's not existing. So it sounds like they're going to build. So our zoning bylaw says you could have a home industry, and as part of your home industry, it establishes certain requirements. One of the requirements is that you could have a garage that supports your home industry, but it cannot be greater than 100 square meters, 1,000 square feet. What we are noticing as a trend in our community is that people who have garages that support their home businesses, home industries, like carpenters or the like, they need more than 1,100 square feet or 1,000 square feet. So they're coming to us to get the exception through the zoning amendment to increase it to 5,000 square feet. So the building does not exist today, but it will be built for the purposes of the cabinet making shop.
And is there a place that this building could be built on this property without going onto somebody else's property, or?
There's certainly ample space to build on the property, and I think there might be a sketch there. There you are. So it's being shown as just up the driveway to the left, sort of in front of the dwelling and other farm buildings.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. So he is building a new building?
It'll meet the setbacks and everything. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Moore, please.
Just one concern. The other remaining agricultural or farm buildings can remain as such, and that they're not be included in the square footage of zoning change?
That's correct. They could continue to exist as they've existed in the past, yes.
Thank you.
Any final questions or comments from members of council? Good. I see none. Good. So now, just to explain it to members of the public, at this point, we're still in the public meeting. We're not able to make decisions on applications in the public meeting. We'll finish the last applicant, then we'll get back into our public meeting and make decisions. So we're just having to make sure that we follow the exact policy of the province here. Good. And with that, we're going to move on to our fourth application before us today, which is zoning amendment D14213, which is at 177 Cemetery Road. And CAO, if you can provide a summary, please.
Yeah, thanks so much. And we do have the applicant present in the audience today, Mr. Fleury. And I will just go ahead here. So the present application has been filed by Mr. Fleury, who's the owner of Whitewater Amusements, to permit the placement of 4 39 by 59 foot or 213 square meter tent structures to be used for sort of mazes, games, and live entertainment during the Halloween season. The proposal is to operate the amusement park, we'll call it, seasonally for the month of October, and will offer entertainment, food, beverages, merchandise to the public. And they're seeking a temporary zoning approval for a period of of 3 years. If that proves successful, then they're going to examine maybe other properties and or this property with some permanent zoning changes. So the property in question, we do, together with the temporary use, the Planning Act does allow for local planning authorities to allow for temporary zonings. And temporary zonings allow for up to 3 years, and then they could be extended, I believe, for another 3 years with another application. So when we get into the third year, the proponent may choose to request from council an extension of that temporary zoning. So together with that use, the amusement park use, we're going to add or modify the definition for amusement park, meaning indoor-outdoor entertainment facility providing for a range of activities, recreation, and participation games, including but not limited to the list of stuff there. And then noting that the property in question, which is on your screen now, is the property on Cemetery Road at the intersection of Cemetery and Industrial Park Road. It's the property for which council would have recently seen a site plan approval owned by Mr. Racine, for which he has sort of a contractor's yard shop on the property. So the proposal is to have the amusement park sort of co-located with with that business for the month of sort of mid-October to end of mid-September till the end of October. And I believe there's a second site plan that's attached to the agenda. If you could just scroll down for the members of council and the public watching, and you might have to zoom out just slightly. Yeah, if you just don't mind zooming out a bit. So you have here the entrance coming off of Cemetery Road to the top of the page. You have on the right side the existing buildings that are held by Mr. Racine. And in red, you see those larger rectangles. Those are the 4 tents. And Mr. Fleury is proposing to also use the existing coverall building for additional space for the amusement park. And all the little rectangles are just parking spaces proposed for that duration of time. And that road going in is essentially a fire route for emergency services. So Mr. Fleury has engaged with myself, the building official, and the fire chief prior to this submission to better understand what all the approvals would be required. We have a good path forward. Mr. Fleury is working with a designer for the change of use for the coverall building, but otherwise the tent structures don't require building permits. And we've asked that the tent structures be inspected by the fire department prior to opening, so they will be constructed and put up several weeks in advance of October 1st, opening day, to be inspected by the fire department and any changes made. The official plan, the properties within the rural land designation of the official plan does allow for rural-related commercial, industrial, recreational type uses that protect the rural character. So recognizing that this is a temporary zoning for a period of 3 years to just sort of test the waters to see how it works, how it fits in with other type uses or adjacent uses. So we'll get a better sense of how that fits in through the next few years. Within the zoning bylaw, the property is in a general industrial zone. It does not currently permit a place of entertainment or amusement park. Those are typically in tourist commercial type uses. So the proposal again is to amend the zoning to permit the use for 3 years, as well as to define the use. So staff support the proposal from Mr. Fleury as it provides for an economic opportunity for rural businesses and provides for diversified land use. So while it is temporary, we are recognizing that we're not going to be requiring many studies for the implementation, such as servicing studies, because the site will be they'll be implementing different sort of porta potties or other measures to provide for water and wastewater services. So staff are supportive of the application, recognizing that it is temporary for 3 years. Thanks so much.
Thank you, CAO. I know that the applicant's here. Would the applicant like to speak to council?
Thanks for looking at this, guys. So a little bit of background on us. I own Whitewater Contracting, which is, what now, I'm going to say 17 years in the area, based out of Westmeath. One of our side gigs that we ran into quite early was event management. A previous resident of Whitewater owned a promotional business, and so we ended up doing odd jobs that fall well outside of the contracting scope. I call it the Summer of the Carney, where we spent the entire year driving around North America setting up a show called the Badass Dash, very similar to Tough Mudder or a Trojan a Spartan race, if anybody's familiar with that. Through them, we've also, for the last decade, been doing the Magic of Lights down in Ottawa, if anybody's happened to make their way through that show. I've built that one for the last decade. This will be our 10th year. So on top of that, what brought us to this interesting application is through that same group, we ended up in 2023 doing a Halloween show in Ottawa. It was called Joe Boo Evil Events, and it was in Canada. I don't live in Canada, so everything for that is always me traveling. I lived in a trailer. It was even more carny than the first time. I don't want to work in Ottawa. I really love it up here. So we ended up not getting paid for that job. That job did end a lot of relationships and left me holding a very large bag, which through the magic of lawyers makes me own all this stuff. What the hell do you do with this stuff? Well, again, I don't want to live in Ottawa, so I made some decisions. We pared it down, redesigned it, trying to make it rural friendly, something that the area will support, we hope. And we started the adventure. we explored tons of properties, guys, from Pembroke, Petawawa, Renfrew, and we really struck out. Pembroke was not very welcoming, would be the general vibe, I would tell you. Laurentian Valley has tried to assist, but they're limited as well. Petawawa was quite keen on the idea, but we have security issues. I have very large animatronics and lots of money wrapped up in things, and they couldn't really give us a location we could secure, easily without just incurring security costs of paying for that. So as you all know, this property is owned by Stephen Racine, who owns Black Ladder Construction. He has come to bail us out. So we're asking for you guys to give us a chance. It's kind of an odd place, an odd shape. It has some concessions, I agree, that aren't necessarily ideal, but we want to prove it, and hopefully down the road, it doesn't need to be this, but maybe it continues. So I hope if you have any questions, you can kind of bounce them off me, and if you got kind of curious of what we're doing, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Perfect, thank you. Now I have to continue on, so we'll hold you if there are questions, okay? So you can stand by. Is there any other members of the public that wants to offer any comments or questions? Okay, I see none. So then virtual or in writing?
We received nothing.
Excellent. Good, and with that, I'll open up to council. Is there any questions or comments? Councillor Moore.
I think it's a great idea. My only concern is parking. How do we handle that?
Just before, can I ask proponent to reply to that? Do you want to reply to that, CAO?
You can go ahead, Mr.
Okay, Mr. Fleury, do you want to offer comments on parking?
Yeah, so we first had to kind of come up with what we thought was a reasonable occupancy load. I would love to tell you I can do 1,000 people a day. That would make me a pile of money and make me very happy. But knowing this industry a little bit more, we based it on 200 people. That's a Monday to Friday kind of situation. This is a preliminary on the parking layout. We've looked at also doing some diagonal parking that would keep us off that right-hand side and make that more of an overflow situation. But it's the lot now is just a large gravel empty lot. Other than the buildings that exist, it really is just a parking lot as it exists. We have plans to paint it, but people are terrible parkers, and especially at night. So I have little hope of them staying within my lines. But this is from I think an occupancy limit and kind of making it easy for people to access, a preliminary kind of idea. So I'm not really sure. There was rules, and the architect has followed said rules.
Yeah, the zoning bylaw establishes a minimum number of parking space based on the area of the structure. So I did a quick calculation of the structures and then divided by the requirement in the zoning bylaw, and there's ample parking spaces shown on the sketch. Yep.
Good, Councillor Moore. Good. Any other questions from members of council? Good. I have one that's come to me just sitting here, and I'm going to nail the manager of public works on it. Cemetery Road. I know that it's a joint project to redo ditch culverts Cemetery Road with Laurentian Valley. The timeline for that work, does it conflict with his schedule of operations, or do we know that yet?
Yeah, it's working with staff from Laurentian Valley. Will be done by a joint venture from both staff and townships. Estimated it's going to be September, between August and September.
It should be finished before the start of October.
That's correct.
Good, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Good, you're off the hook, Mr. Fleury, thank you. Good. Good, there's no other comments, we didn't receive anything, so with that, I can then formally adjourn our public meeting at 2:27 p.m. That ends the public meeting as required by the Planning Act, Province of Ontario, and we'll move back into our regular council meeting. and we're at item number 7. And what I'd like to propose, just because we have two proponents in the room who've been waiting for us to get to these two agenda items, if council would indulge me to take items 10.3 and 10.7 and address these two reports now, to allow these decisions to be taken and the proponents to hear exactly what our decision is at that time. Yeah, thank you. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Bell. And just to reiterate, we're moving 10.3 and 10.7 to immediately before number 7. Good. We'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Excellent. Good. So we will now hear item 10.3, which is a zoning bylaw amendment report for D14-212. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve a zoning bylaw amendment for the lands described as 2815 Queens Line to amend section 3.91 Bravo to increase the maximum gross floor area of a home industry within an accessory structure, a detached carpenter shed, from 100 square meters to 464.51 square meters for the purposes of operating a cabinet shop. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by Councillor Bell. CAO, we just heard this. Is there anything that you want to add to any of the previous discussion?
I would add nothing, thanks.
Okay, good. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. I'll go to the mover first. Councillor Trim, anything that you want to add?
No, thank you.
Councillor Bell, the seconder. Any other questions from members of council on this item? Good. I will call for the vote then. All those in favor? And it is carried. So it is approved. The formal approval, the clerk's office will work with the planner to make sure that's distributed. Good. Next item is number 10.7. 10.7 is a temporary zoning bylaw amendment, D14-213, for Whitewater Amusements. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve a temporary zoning bylaw amendment for the property described as Westmeath Concession BEML, part of Lot 27, to permit the sole additional use of an amusement park within the general industrial GM zone for a period of 3 years from the date the bylaw is passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. CAO, I'll ask you again, anything you want to add at this point in time, given we've already heard your summary?
Nothing to add, thanks.
Good. Our mover, Councillor Trim, do you have anything that you want to, questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Good. Deputy Mayor, the seconder?
No, thank you.
Good. Anything else from any other member of council? Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. So it is carried. Good. And with that, we will take a short recess and start up in 5 minutes, please. And welcome back to the Township Whitewater Region's regular council meeting for Wednesday, August 6th, and we'll call ourselves here to order at 2:40 p.m. Just for those people that might be joining us, we just had amended our agenda again and moved items 10.3 and 10.7 out of the report section and inserted it before the presentation section, just to allow for the proponents to hear our decision and not have to sit through the rest of the council meeting. So with that, we are back at item number 7. We have done 7.1 already, and we are on 7.2, which is the second quarter administrative report, the opportunity for staff to brief back to council on the progress they're making with our objectives for the year. The recommendation is that the Council of the Township Whitewater Region receive the second quarter administration report for information purposes. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by our Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Moore, and I'll turn it over to the CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much, and I'll just commence with my message from the CAO, and then I'll move right over to community development, and we could pause after each department if there's any questions. So just recognizing that as we transition into the spring, which is Q2 starting in April till the end of June, we're moving into the spring and summer, and we have the return of seasonal businesses. Recreational activities and local events. So to name a few, the trailer parks begin opening, our tourist attractions begin, whitewater rafting, water slides, golf, and we start welcoming more residents, the seasonal residents as well as our tourists. So together with that, there's certain events, the Borka Spring Chicken Ride, Tour to Whitewater, and the Beachburg and Cobden Fairs that are going to be held through the summer. So preparation for that. The Ross Museum sort of opens up for more hours. Our libraries provide additional services for our students that are off through the summer. Our seniors programming continues through the summer, so it's really a time where there's some vibrancy in our community that continues into the summer. So just extending an appreciation for all our business owners, stakeholders, volunteers for their dedication to our township. So in this quarter, we also held our Cobden District Public School mock council meeting. So at the end of the school year, I believe it's grade 4 students of Miss Lindsay, they attended the office here. They each had a role that was prepared by our clerk. One was a CAO, and he did a great job. And there was a number of members of the council and managers and the like. So I think it was my second one that I attended, and it's just a great initiative to collaborate with our school boards. So just recognizing that these types of things play vital roles in fostering civic awareness, so allowing our youth to understand that municipal governments exist and why we exist, and also provides leadership among our youth. And then thirdly, just our township in the spring, the staff continued to exemplify commitment and professionalism while navigating operational challenges. So I think I've stressed that in my Q1 report. I've highlighted responding to a boil water advisory, to snow plowing, to fire incidents. But again, we continue to be challenged with more and more complex situations. So it's just recognizing staff's ability to respond to evolving circumstances with composure, and it's a testament of their dedication and our capabilities. So I just wanted to recognize that from the staff teams. So for community development, and I don't mean to keep speaking, I did 4 zonings and now I'm into this, but I'm getting a little long-winded. But so for community development, unfortunately our chief building official could not be here today. But we did issue 44 permits compared to 60 in 2024, valued of just short of $10 million. That included 18 between new dwellings and additions. I'm not sure what the separation is, but definitely there's new houses in there and significant additions. We reviewed just about 29 development applications over a period of 12 weeks. So we're trending on at least 2 applications per week, which is quite considerable. Consents, variances, and zoning bylaws, and we're continuing to work with our local residential developers with plans of subdivision, the Verakin subdivision, and the BI, Wren, and Bennett Meadows. We have our seasonal banners have been manufactured. They are available to be installed, and we're just programming the installation now. So seasonal banners are in, and we're just working with, we're just trying to get quotes to get a company to install them. So as it pertains to key activities, Julie Butala has joined our community development team in a full-time position as the community development assistant, and she will be supporting the planner, EDO, and CBO. With our absence of planner right now, she's sort of doing double duty. She's drafted one of those 4 zoning reports, so she's working pretty hard and she's learning quickly. We also held ribbon cuttings, and thank you to the clerk and to our finance clerk who are assisting with economic development and corporate communications. Held ribbon cuttings with Scones Bake Shop, who moved locations on our main street here in Cobden, and we also had a ribbon cutting for All Fried Up on the highway, a new chip wagon. So looking ahead, we are going to be supporting the implementation of Small Business Week and Taste of the Valley in the coming months. So that summarizes it for community development. If there's any questions through you, the mayor, I'll take them. Thanks.
Any questions from members of council on community development? The only comment I'll make is I know it's been a transition quarter with Alex leaving and now trying to backfill Alex's, and you're carrying a bit more weight when it comes to the community development perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
And we recognize that we're still making tremendous progress. So obviously you're doing great.
Great, thanks. Alex did write a lot of those reports before he left, and thank you, Alex, to recognize that. But I'll pass it over to our manager of community services, Stephanie, if you want to go through your summary of your report. Thanks.
Thank you. Through your mayor, you'll have to excuse my voice. I'm fighting a cold. So we're looking at the numbers for the arena ball field are unfortunately not available at this time, so we'll have that updated for Q3. I did want to note that there were 16 youth registered for the Lake Dory swim program, and then we just did a highlight of the seniors programs, and I wanted to do a quick did you know. So the total numbers of Meals on Wheels and frozen meals, just as a note, frozen meals are ordered through Renfrew, and the volunteers do pick up and drive. So those are just a little tidbit that I added into the report for you. We do run our SELC activities regularly, and Lisa's doing a great job, one of our staff members, organizing those. And just a highlight of some of the activities that they've been doing. In addition to that, our senior support services in just April, May, June, so you can get an idea of what we were dealing with from a volunteer and grant perspective. And then our ongoing work plan, we have awarded the electrical panel for the Cobden Arena. Tables and chairs have been purchased, our structural assessment has been awarded, and our drafts report have been reviewed. The RFPs were out in Q3 for the accessible picnic tables in the Cobden Arena canteen, and then the Westmeath boat launch, there's going to be an update in Q3. Structural assessment kickoff meeting, and then our capital flooring quotes, you know the end result of that. We've reallocated the funding for that. Staff manage the Big Give and are currently undergoing advertising sponsorship updates and reaching out to the current users in Cobden to go ahead and manage that coming into this ice season. Believe it or not, we're right around the corner from that. So we did hire 3 community service students, and we did also participate with the Civitan Club and a Veterans Park cleanup. 2 of our staff members participated and helped get that maintenance going in the spring. We have removed the book tree from the Cobden office, and we do have plans. Unfortunately, they didn't fall through in Q3 to replace that tree. We have met with the user groups for the ice, and the ice schedule is still ongoing. With the new insurance policy, we did work through a new event in Westmeath, the dog show that they held, and I'm happy to report that they were quite amenable to all of our requirements, and even the dog show user, and everything seemed to go well from that perspective. The Westmeath Parquet permit was approved, and the project moved forward towards completion. And then I did want to just make a side note here. there has been some community vandalism and garbage dumping in our township, and I just wanted to put that on a note here. The Westmeath Marquette flags, the poles themselves, the mechanisms were damaged. We had to replace them all. The ropes were cut, the flags were dropped. And then there was garbage dumped at the Acres Road boat launch. So I just wanted to just put that out there so that we're all aware of all of the things that our staff are dealing with. I did send insurance waivers to all of our recreation groups for their use and their tracking, and they're using their waivers for the sports that they're running on our behalf through, with their volunteers. As far as funding applications go, we were unsuccessful in the Ontario Sport and Recreation Fund, which was going to fund some of the capital investments in the ice plant of the Cobden Arena. The Whitewater seniors were successful in the Ontario Seniors Community Grant, which will help to fund some Meals on Wheels programming from September to March. We did also apply for the New Horizons Seniors Grant, again, for more food security, and unfortunately we were unsuccessful in that. The Seniors Working Group is working through the Mission Vision Values review, and I expect in September, October to have a bit of an update for that to go forward with that group. We are undergoing a review of our curbside meals just to plan for the fall. And there was a volunteer appreciation event held in coordination with Eganville District Seniors in June as well. And a successful wrap up to our Grand Pals program, which a couple of our counselors were a part of. And I did attend that wrap up event, and to say there wasn't a dry eye in the room, I would absolutely say it was a success. The PA Day camps registration, we've had on average about 10 students register for the camps operating with the Boys and Girls Club, which was enough to make them run. The CRC, unfortunately, we had to cancel that as no registrations came through. In September, I am putting forward an update to our ice allocation policy. I'm working with the groups right now to come up with our ice allocation for the 2025-26 season, and the ice allocation policy will help us going forward. What else do I have? I think that's. We're going to be looking forward to also the community recreation grant is going to be put out as well. And we already have some applications in for that. It'll be out again. And then as far as the seniors go, I just wanted to put some of their activities in there for Q3, so you had an idea of what was going to happen with some of their programming. That is still ongoing, and that grant is, I think, for another 2 more years. If you have any questions.
Excellent. Any questions from members of council? Councilor Tabbert.
Yes, I've been contacted, and I don't know if this is the place for it, but you say that you're meeting with ice user groups and that you're going to update ice rates and ice allocation. I have a concern brought to me that some of the users who've been using the same time for many, many years are being asked to come much, much later. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if you can answer that or if there is a concern. Have you heard it? But yeah, I won't go into more details than that. I'm sure you've probably heard them too.
I can comment to that, sure. And we are working, and every year it is a challenge to work the ice schedule with keeping everybody happy with their ice allocation requests. We've had minor requests that have come in, and we're hoping that going forward with this ice policy, that will help us with some of those back and forth conversations that happen. And that's my goal for having this policy going forward to next year. So, but yes, there have been some questions asked and other people being asked to move their ice times. And there'll be more information in Q3 for that. Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? Good. I just was, the results of the camp, the summer camps, once you have the feedback on that, will it just get incorporated into the business plan for next year? And how will we capture recommendations for the next summer?
I'm hoping an update to the community recreation grant will be the answer to that. If it's increased funding or if it's another way to fund some of the space. I have to communicate with the Boys and Girls Club and the CRC and see what our steps forward are based on their recommendations.
Perfect, good. I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose sight of that, that item. Good, if there's nothing else, we'll move on. Oh, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just one question. The canteen coming up to the ice, when does that begin and open? Is that going to be in September, or do you know when that
Yes,
begins?
so the canteen is set to start their contract when the ice rentals start.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Perfect. And I'll just highlight, I know we've talked about this before and before again, the number of meals that have been served, frozen, Meals on Wheels, the number of programs that seniors has been offering has been incredible. And I just want to make sure that we highlight the success of you and the staff for all the work that you do, of course, with our volunteers, but thank you. Good. All right. Who's next, CAO?
Yeah, thanks so much. We'll turn it over to Treasurer McGonigal, Curtis McGonigal, for the corporate services. Thanks.
Thank you. Everyone, I'd like to just bring your attention first to by the numbers for the property taxation. This was as of June 30th, 2025. So the top part is a graph. We've been doing this one now for, I think this is the 4th or 5th report. So blue is identified as 2023 in the chart, yellow is 2024, and green is 2025. So you'll see that for 2025, we have seen a little bit of an elevated amount of receivable sitting at the end of each month. I will note that February and April are due date months, so they're kind of expected to be more elevated than other months due to the fact that that is the time whenever the actual due date comes. Most times in between months is whenever those are collected afterwards. However, in March is whenever we do our transfer from water to taxation. And this year, which you'll see in the lower graph, and I'll speak to very shortly, there was a larger amount transferred from our utility billing to taxation, which has caused this elevated image of taxation owing. So for all the by the numbers piece, our second installment of the taxes was due April 30th, which was in Q2. Our second notices to properties that are 2+ years for taxation arrears were mailed out in early June. Got some really good feedback from those. Still some outstandings, however, got some good collection pieces. $1.68 million is total receivable at the end of the June 30th, 2025. So that makes up that green line at the end of June. It's made up of $596,000 for 2025 billing. So that's the interim billing plus penalty portion. $571,939 is our 2024 billing, so that's interim and final, plus penalty and interest that has been accumulated. $268,607, which is 2023 billing and interest, and then $247,413, which is our 2022 billing and interest and penalty. So that's 2021 and prior years. So any properties that have taxes outstanding, let's say 2021, 2020, 2019, those are included in there. And I'll not noted on here, but I did a quick calculation. Currently, right now, we have 15 properties that are have tax arrears certificates registered on them. Those properties are unable, once a tax arrears certificate is registered on the property, they are unable to make partial payments towards their property. They are required to make full payment of the actual taxes owing on the property, including interest, including penalty, and including current year's taxation. That total right now is $265,000. Of those, that's the total of those 15 properties. So that kind of can create this elevated appearance as well, since some of these properties would pay small amounts onto the taxation, but we're never going to be able to actually catch up to the actual amount owing, and that's what kind of creates a elevated amount. And then for utility billing, you'll see we've added in a chart this time to kind of illustrate how the utility billings go across. So our billing months, just so you note, is January, March, May, July, September, and November. And that's why you kind of see the green line spike up higher in those months, because again, those are the end of months whenever an actual billing has gone out, and those are the due dates. The reason for the March one and then the April to be so decreased compared to the rest of the graph is because that's the month whenever we do the transfer from at the end of March. do the transfer from the property tax, from the utility side to the property taxation. So you can kind of see the correlation. You'll notice utility billing went way down, but if you look at property taxes, it spiked up. We just moved the actual receivables from one account to the other. The reason we do that is because under the Municipal Act, we're allowed to collect user fees billed by the township, like taxes, should they not be collected. So this ability gives us the ability to also, should a property go to tax sale, we're able to collect that revenue as well as the property taxes because they're both treated the same way. And that's per our policy. So at the end of June 30th, we had $52,000 of utilities remaining. The third and fourth billings were mailed out. Fourth billing revenue is not recorded at this point in time, so you'll see in the actual piece for the budget. So development charges. So for the period of Q2, $36,525 of township-wide development charge was collected, $4,500 of wastewater, and $4,000 of water services. So that's 4 water services and 3 wastewater services added to the system. Yet to be added, I should note, they haven't been connected to the system yet. It's just when the permit is issued, that is whenever we charge the development charges. There's still a delay time between the time whenever the actual permit is completed to whenever we actually see the additional revenue from that being connected to the service, either water or wastewater, when we'll actually see that to the water wastewater revenue system. So the general fund shows a $3 million deficit. No concern. That is just because property taxation revenue is not recorded until August. Currently, we're actually running our bills for property taxation. They'll be going out at the end of this week, so everybody will be expecting them in their mail very shortly. We've been receiving funds from CCBIF and OCIF, which is the Canada Community Building Fund and the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, which we use for capital projects and recreation projects. So as I mentioned before, the water budget is showing a $179,000 deficit. That's just because the Q4 or the billing for revenue has not been recorded yet. It's just a clerical piece whenever we're actually doing the accounting side. And again, no worries. So Workplan strategic process. We're working on the asset management plan. And I will note that coming the end of this week, the 8th, Friday on the 8th at 11:59 p.m. will be the end of our asset management level of service survey. So I encourage all residents and all council members to go and complete that survey, because that creates the information that is needed to come back to council as to what level of service the public and you as residents want to see the township do, and it'll kind of create that guiding document for whenever we go to the next step of the asset management plan. So we're still working on the multi-year budgeting piece and creating policies for debentures and debt. Both the multi-year budget and the debentures and debt I'm going to be incorporating into the 2026 budget deliberations, which will be starting in September. And then key activities. So the water wastewater rate study and financial plan were finalized and adopted by council, which will be incorporated again into the 2026 budget. The soft launch of our online billing software, which was allowed residents to have an access code, get online, see their accounts, make payments on their accounts. Unfortunately, we had 40 properties registered. Due to this computer system outage that we experienced in June and just got back from in July, start of July, we lost all that. So we're actually starting from scratch again for that piece. It is almost operational and will be launched again. However, if anybody who has an account or had created an account, their username and password is no longer valid. They'll have to re-register again. We understand this is a problem or an inconvenience for a lot of people. It was an unfortunate thing that we didn't realize that could happen. So we've taken steps now to ensure this doesn't happen again. But that piece is whenever we relaunch it, any of your passwords that you've created will have to be restarted. Our admin tourism student started in Q2, and it's hard to believe, but her term ends at the end of the month, so that summer went very, very, very quickly. We're working to complete the 2024 fiscal year-end reconciliations and procedures. Hope to bring that in early September. We're working with Dillon Consulting on the Township's Asset Management Plan, and as I mentioned, we're the ones operating the survey currently for the levels of service. And then I just want to bring a note that Due to the computer system outage, all finance department's activities were delayed, and the department is working quickly to catch up, and thanks council and residents for their patience and understanding while we catch up to that period. At this point in time, we are almost to the point we're back up and running for day-to-day activities, still able to put billings out at the right time, and the only thing that was delayed during that period was a pre-authorized payment plan for monthly residents. Instead of running it June 20th, we wound up running it July 4th. And that's about it. The look ahead, we're just looking to restart the iCity launch portal and complete the process for the asset management plan. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions from council? Councillor Tappert.
I have two. For the online billing software, the 40 properties who were that were registered, will those people be contacted to say, listen, this is what happened?
So
Or is
unfortunately,
it just a guess of when they go online, they're going, oh, I can't get online anymore?
yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, we don't have because it was attached to the piece to show that they were registered, we don't have that list anymore. That part is gone. So if you register before and you go to register again, it'll just come up and saying your username is not valid, and you'll just have to create a new username. Your PIN is still the same. We did not change that part. It's just the system itself that won't remember you being there. All the rest of the information is still there. You'll still be able to get your tax bills. You'll still be able to see your account history. Still be able to make payments. All that stuff will exist, but it'll just, that password, you can reuse your password because it doesn't actually remember you, but you'll have to start the account from scratch again.
Okay. My next question we might have to have a discussion on, but so when you do the billings that remain outstanding, so 2023 billing and interest, does that include the 2022 and prior? And then 2024 would include the 2023? Do you know what I'm saying?
No, so it's segregated out per year.
Okay.
So the interest is on just so let's take 2023, for example. That interest is just on the 2023 balance.
Okay.
So each one is the specific year. It's only 2022, which includes 21, 20, and that's a combination piece.
Okay.
So per the Municipal Act, you're only allowed to bill penalty the current year of taxes. It becomes interest on the subsequent years. That's why it's written as 2025 billing and penalty, because you're only technically getting penalty the year of the actual billing.
Okay.
After that, it becomes interest. I'm not sure why it's a difference without a meaning, because it's the same 1.25%, really. But that's just that's the way the Municipal Act has it written.
So then going on that, so we're actually in the whole like 596, 571, 268, and 247 then?
So not in the whole, but no cash flow from
Okay.
it. Exactly.
Okay.
So that's the thing, is that as soon as we are moved to the next step of collecting from the properties that we've sent letters to, and the properties that we're looking towards tax sale, whether they actually go to full tax sale or whether they come into an extension agreement to go for a year of making a registered payment plan that they must make, or whether we're able to do some sort of piece like that to pull them back, that's the way we're working away from this. We've also enacted this year to actually follow policy 100% and go to the 2 years and prior, or 2 years and current, because originally we were doing 3 years and only kind of trying to collect on that third year. We've now done it as 2 years. So really it's only the 1 year and the current year that can be outstanding. We've narrowed that part down to try and eliminate this extended piece where properties get large balances owing and becomes very hard for them to pay off at that point in time, where we can start to work with them earlier and give ourselves that little bit of wiggle room over those years to allow them to potentially fall behind, but still kind of maintain something to not have to go to the point of selling a property. It's not the township's goal to sell someone's property.
Right. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So just for the 15 that require full payment, how long do we continue, or how long does that continue? Before it becomes a real issue?
Yeah, so the 15 properties, as soon as Ice Treasurer sign off on the tax certificate and we register it on title, they have 1 year to make payment. Once that 1 year is up, we can go to tender for tax sale and we can sell the property. They have 1 year to either contact us to make an extension agreement, contact us saying, we'll make a payment and we'll pay it by your due date. They actually have right up until the day of tender and opening of tender to make a payment. Once that portion has happened, that we have registered the property in the other person's name, whoever the successful bidder is, that's the point in time where it's the point of the past point of no return. While they're registered, we still collect penalty, we still bill interest. Nothing changes in that aspect. It's just that's our point of our countdown, more or less, for that 1 year waiting period to be able to actually sell the property to regain those or recoup those funds.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. That's good, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to throw two comments out. The first one just has to do with what was the dollar amount of utility billing that we transferred to property tax this year? About approximately 50,000, I thought?
No, it was about 123,000, 124,000.
20. I'd just be curious if there's any pattern in that 120 that might stand out. And not that we need to discuss it now, but maybe we could sit just to put second set of eyes on it to see if there is some kind of pattern that could help us.
Yeah, I will note that properties that tend to have arrears outstanding in taxation also tend to have amounts outstanding on their utility billing. They tend to correlate, so it tends to just move over to that area. For the most part, that's how the properties tend to flow. And the only caveat with the graph for the water piece is that the 2023 amount was not transferred at the exact same time of year as 2024 and 2025 was. 2025 was right on time, 2023 was mid-March, and 2024 was like April. So there's a little bit of a mix of time there. It just all had to be done before the next billing, which was done, but it's just that point in time, so it kind of gives people more time to make a payment, which sometimes happens, and that's why it can look like a smaller amount. This year we were right on time, so it does look like a bit larger amount, but that might be part of the reason.
Good. Second question is just the general fund showing a $3.2 million deficit.
Mm-hmm.
Are we borrowing against the line of credit to cover that deficit?
We are
through
not.
the year?
We are not.
You're using reserves or current cash holdings?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, so I'll just make a note. That's income statement side. We have received the revenue cash flow. I don't call it revenue. I'll call it cash flow from the interim billing. We just don't recognize interim billing as revenue until August happens and we do the final billing. It's just an accounting system to not show that amount because we technically reverse out the interim billing. If you ever look at your tax bills for in August, you'll see that it says interim billing and it's credited to you. It's in brackets. That means negative. So we fully bill your total taxes. So say it's $10,000. We would have billed you potentially $5,000 in the interim. There's a little negative down there if you paid it. And it comes down to the bottom and says $5,000 owing, and then we break that into 2 installments. So we just don't recognize that first amount as revenue. It's sitting as a payable, technically, a receivable, in the balance sheet. And then once it moves down, once we do the actual billing for August, it moves from there down to the revenue side in the income statement, and that's where we recur it as revenue. Like this year, it would be the $7.748 million once that happens.
The reason I ask is that I know that some municipalities I've seen, they've offered incentives for residents who have gone on monthly payment plans where they get, a certain quantity of money back on that year's taxation if they've paid it in monthly installments. To negate us having to carry deficits between collection periods.
Yeah, like here as a municipality, we waive penalty and interest for anybody who's on those pre-authorized payment plans. So they can split what is normally paid as 4 installments is split into 12 installments, but there is points in time where by the due date, they haven't paid enough money in to actually meet that due date. We don't charge penalty or interest on that chunk that's not paid by that due date. So it kind of stretches that part out. So that's kind of the benefit of the pre-authorized payment plan, the monthly one. The installment one, To your point, there's really no difference than people paying it themselves, other than they don't have the responsibility of having to pay it themselves. As long as there's money in their account, we automatically do the transfer and make sure it's paid, and we still send them their bill. They still receive the same notifications and everything from us. There's just no paperwork they have to do to actually send us the money.
Good. Councillor Trim.
Yes, and, I think another benefit of the monthly plan is that the township covers the cost of doing that, and so it's a convenience. I've been promoting this for 2 decades because we have our payments monthly, and it really works good to have our income monthly, and of course we don't have a big amount of interest budgeted then each year. And Curtis, as our treasurer, has informed me that we haven't been paying interest for this reason for how many years, Mr. Treasurer?
So we're going on 3 now.
So this is a big advantage, and it is for anybody who's not doing it. It certainly is a convenience, and it's one way for all of us to reduce taxes, because we're not raising taxes to pay interest. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Treasurer.
Thank you.
CAO.
Yeah, back to me. Thanks so much. And I'll move over to fire services. And unfortunately, our fire chief is not here, so I'll go through a few items under the fire department. So through the second quarter, they had 48 emergency responses, 5 related to fires, 8 motor vehicle collisions, and 4 burn complaints. They also attended 6 public education events and 3 inspections, and I'm curious to ask our fire chief what 6 public education events they attended, but I don't have the list, but interesting enough, they attended 6, which is great. They continue to work on the community wildland protection plan, so that's together with the funding we received from the province. And they did purchase the half-ton truck. Has been purchased, and it's now equipped with sirens and emergency lighting and is now in service, so that's exciting. Moving into key activities, one thing that impressed me was the third bullet, firefighter level 2 course was completed in May, and this means 96% of the firefighters hired before 2025 has successfully completed their NFPA 1001 level 1 and level 2 training. So it's a pretty high percentage to say that we've gotten to that extent, so that's really great. And then just looking ahead, they are currently working with a new record management system that's being implemented to log fires and the like. And then they're also working to close out the auto extrication tender that was approved in the capital budget for, I think it's battery operated tools. Any questions on that item?
Any questions for the CAO on fire chief stuff? No, I applaud the work that the fire department has been doing with the qualifications, and that's an incredible achievement, 96%.
Yes.
Yeah, please keep it up. Good. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Thanks so much, and it's we're moving to the office of the CAO, and I'll pass it over to our clerk Miller to start.
This first quarter, we started seeing some recreation vehicle licenses coming in. We also selected our internet and voting vendor. The agreement hasn't been assigned yet, but we are going with votes. Same vendor that did the 2022 election. We're still going to continue to review and update bylaws. Work with the election group to prepare for the upcoming elections. We'll also be starting to look ahead. We're going to start working on our county-wide emergency exercise and continue working with our emergency management team to have some meetings and hopefully purchase our generator.
Thanks so much, Clerk Miller. And so I'll highlight just a few more things, just recognizing that we did host a council affordability workshop, which focused on discussing trends and factors influencing community affordability, as well as exploring budget strategies and financial planning in Q2. Just noting a few attendances of mine. So attended I continue to attend the Renfrew County CAO meetings to discuss strategic initiatives and operational updates. I continue to participate with the Renfrew County Clerks and Treasurers Association. I attended the 2025 Ottawa Valley Business Summit, which was focused on economic development and networking opportunities. Also, to highlight, supported some site visits for childcare locations in partnership with Killaloe Community Resources Center. The Office of the CAO also supported the management of the 2025 freshet and flooding along the river. So, you know, we've become more and more accustomed to flooding, unfortunately, and you kind of forget about it. But I mean, we were probably 2 or 3 weeks just steady managing the flooding and meeting for flooding purposes. Maybe just a couple more things. I think there's correspondence in today's agenda with respect to the flood hazard mapping funding that unfortunately we were denied. So just highlighting that, and we'll speak to that maybe a bit later. So just looking ahead, we continue to progress on our departmental work plans and the asset management plan for 2025, and also highlighting that the AMO conference is coming up in about a week and a half. And we have secured delegations with the Minister of Red Tape Reduction, Andrea Kanjan, with the Minister of Energy and Mines, Stephen Lecce, and also with Parliamentary Assistant Sandu for with the Ministry of Infrastructure. So I'm looking forward to that session. Thanks so much. And maybe it's back to me again. Over to Public Works, our Manager of Public Works, Leigh Claroux.
Sorry, just before you go, is there any questions for the CAO clerk on? I know he doesn't want to take them. Good, I see none. Okay, please, Public Works.
Yeah, thank you. Staff attended 2 joint Municipal Service Corporation business plan meetings. That's the LAS that council adopted myself to be on the committee. We had 2 meetings so far. Q2, we had a lot of training with staff. We had two driver operators attended the TJ Mahoney courses. And McLeese completed the Summer Patroller course, which is a new for the actual township. I guess the previous road super had it, but Andrew took the course for that. And then our mechanic, Carsey, attended the Good Roads Fleet Mechanic course. And then we had 2 staff members attended the Rural Drainage course, and that's for municipal drains. And then also all the public works staff had Book 7 training for traffic control. And so I'll work back up. Mechanic completed 8 safeties inspections in the Q2, 7 internally, and 1 was sent out externally to external garage. Sorry. Lost my... staff applied to the Municipal Housing Infrastructure Program, which is the Health and Safety Water Stream for the Beachburg Water Upgrade Project. If you recall, the report in council to approve that project to be funded. Hopefully hear back later in the year. And yeah, in June with a lot of maintenance from spring, staff completed grading on gravel roads, street sweeping was completed, and then the roadside mooring was completed in June. Look ahead, with submission of the environmental compliance approval amendment for the Ross landfill, and also look ahead for next month will be the notice of motion for Watchhorn Drive. The county actually has placed traffic counters this week, so hopefully we can get the data and move back the report in September. And just look ahead for water and wastewater bylaw, which is separate than the sewer use bylaw that was adopted in Q2. That's coming ahead, hopefully either in Q3 or in Q4. And then just continuing mapping of water and wastewater infrastructure. And I'll pass it over to Deanna.
Thank you, Lane. So I just want to start to say, normally I'd start out with my garbage and recycling numbers, but unfortunately due to the computer outage that we had, that's a little behind for us, but our summer student, Hillary, has been working diligently to recover all of that data from some hard copy stuff that we had. So we just about finished that, so I should have some numbers for you cumulatively for Q3 that will cover that as well. But so to move on, so in Q2, we had our contractor Dillon Consulting finish our undertake our building condition assessment inspections, and we just have received the reports recently, so we're in the process of starting to digest the results of those. At our landfill, we received our new Weber Lane roll-off trailer and 3 bins, and those are the bins that are have been placed in our the convenience depot area. So previously we were renting, so now we have our own, which is great. Connected to that, staff poured a new concrete pad at the at that sorting area, and that was to allow the roll-off trailer bins to be able to be moved in and out easy without damaging them, because we want them to last as long as we can. So there was also some new bins, if the public have noticed, that were delivered to our landfill for the collection of blue box material. Our transition to the new extended producer responsibility program came into effect on July 1st, so our bins were dropped off just at the end of Q2. So you'll see those new shiny ones. Another thing that happened, you'll see that they had some repairs done to the back wall here at the township offices, which is good, and they were just recently finished being painted, so we've had some repairs done here. The remaining LED lighting system upgrades were completed by under the small business program. So this was a program that funded a good portion of LED lighting upgrades across all of our buildings, so that was great, and that's all done now. Staff here, between myself and our summer student, undertook the broader public sector energy reporting. So this is reporting that we do annually to report on all of the energy usage in all of our buildings, and it's great. There's a new portal that we're using for this, and it's just, we're in the 2nd year of reporting for it, so we're actually able to start to see some trending and get a better idea of how our buildings are performing year over year, and start to see some when things are going well. And it was helpful this year to be able to look at that as quickly as we could, because we were able to identify some times where some of the ice arenas were using lots, so we were able to give them some heads up right away as soon as we saw bills coming in, and make some adjustments to start bringing down energy usage. So the next thing is Aqua submitted on behalf of the township our drinking water license renewal application, and that happened to button up that alongside with the water and wastewater rate study. So now both of those have been submitted to the ministry, and we actually just received our licenses back from the ministry for all our 3 drinking water systems just yesterday, which is great. And I think Leigh touched on the last few things from the look ahead, so yeah, that's all for me. If there's any questions.
Perfect. Thank you. Any questions from members of council? No questions. You guys got off scot-free, Public Works.
Great.
It's good. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And then back to our clerk, maybe to quickly review council business, and that'll close out the report.
That's great. So the second quarter there was 23 bylaws. You heard 40 staff reports, and you heard 4 presentations. So I have the whole second quarter listed on council business, so you can have a look at it, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, thanks so much, Clerk Miller. If I could just as I listen to my colleagues here speak about some of the things that they worked on, in my message from the CAO, I speak about some of the challenges we've been faced with in Q2. Namely, one of them is the computer outages, and I look over to Deanna, and at the landfill, the place didn't close. We continued to accept payment. We continued to operate, even while we sort of managed that. Curtis is having to restart the online portal to our financial software to get the customers back up and running on that. So just highlighting that those are challenging things, and it's more work for us to do, and I just want to recognize that staff are committed, and we're working hard to just get back up to speed and continuing to commit to our residents and our council. Thanks.
Thank you. Any final questions or comments for staff on the second quarter administrative report? No, I think I can speak on behalf of everyone to say thank you so much for these reports. I think it's an excellent synopsis of 3 months worth of work that gives us a good appreciation for what goes on, and to have been so successful given flooding, given computer outage, given staffing challenges. Thank you, and keep up the good work. Good. Good. With that, coming back to the resolution that's on the floor is just to receive this report, and it was moved by our Deputy Mayor and Councillor Moore. I'll give you any final comments as the mover.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Good. Councillor Moore?
None, thank you.
Good. And no one else? We'll call for the vote to receive this report. All those in favor? And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Good. We'll go on to the Mayor's address. You know you're getting old when you can't make it bigger. Okay. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So welcome back. I know the summer seemed, it's only August. We're not all the way through the summer, but welcome back. And I know we have a break for another month, but I hope everybody's had a good summer so far. Since our last council meeting on July 9th, I attended 10 meetings and events on behalf of council. I took some time to travel with my family, and I also just wanted to thank the Deputy Mayor for covering me throughout that time. Appreciate getting the backup. Some highlights for council and our community just over the past couple weeks. We had our grand openings, as was mentioned by the CAO, all fired up here in Cobden. Great fries and poutine. Also, we've had a couple moves of existing businesses. You heard about Scone Bake Shop, but also Kula Wellness Center has a new location. And I think there's another beauty spa beside them. I can't remember the name right now, but that has moved. So if you have a chance, please get out and check out these places. I attended the Beachburg Fair, the tour to Whitewater, the Pembroke Multicultural Festival, all great events, and thanks so much to the volunteers and organizers who did so much to put these on. We also supported Tim Hortons' Send a Kid to Camp Day, where Councillor Tabbert and I and a crew of Whitewater firefighters washed windows and helped out in the Cobden store for donations. It was really fun. I got more than one comment about my window washing. I also had an opportunity to meet with BEI and get a walkthrough of the Wren subdivision here, so phases 3 and 4. That they're currently working on by Crescent Care. They are preparing the site right now for 46 homes here in Cobden and finishing the last 3 houses from phase 2. It's all progressing very well as per the approvals. I can't remember the language for it, CAO. What kind of approvals do we give in the spring?
The preliminary servicing?
Yes, preliminary servicing resolution. So all the services, they should have them completely in by the fall, and then we can expect to see building taking place based on demand. So it's very exciting to see this development potential here in Cobden. It's going to be wonderful. Lastly, I had the opportunity to sit down with our Member of Parliament, Cheryl Gallant, and we had a discussion about affordability, a topic we've had a conversation about already. So I shared our same thoughts with her, specific to property taxes and water and wastewater fees, and the important role that the federal government has in funds like the CCBF, the gas tax that's distributed through FCM, as well as its contributions to capital projects in partnership with the provincial government. We discussed the need for additional assistance through capital funding to support our 350 kilometers of roads, our water and wastewater infrastructure, our buildings, our stormwater, and our vehicle fleets. And lastly, we spoke about the need to grow our commercial and agricultural industries and to attract new ones here to Whitewater. We appreciated the time she took to hear my spiel, gave us some insights and some feedback. We also, fun fact, Curtis, our treasurer, calculated for me, we looked back 10 years at all the grants that we've received from the province and the feds for our capital works. A big chunk of that was the wastewater treatment plant. But we calculated that on average, we get about $800,000 a year from the provincial and the federal governments, about half and half, 400 each. So even if we can assume to continue to receive this level of support on average each year, our asset management plan is still annually unfunded by almost $5 million. So the point I was making to her as our MP is that we need increased provincial and federal investment in our infrastructure to keep our rural property tax, our water and wastewater affordable. And next I'm going to be sharing this same message with our MPP and our warden. Good. Next is coming up is AMO, 18 to 20 August. We've had a number of delegations, CEOs outline those, and we're also participating with neighboring municipalities helping advocate their issues as well as our own BV and Pembroke. The briefs for each of the delegations will be shared with all of council and align with our previous discussions on each topic. I know that not all members of council will have an opportunity to come to AMO, but if you take a look through the briefs and you have any input, I welcome it. Please reach out to me, the CAO, and we'll make sure that we include any of your feedback. Good. And our next meeting will be September 3rd. Is that right? Yes, September 3rd. Good. And that ends my mayor's report. Is there anybody who has any comments or questions on what I said? Yes, Councillor Taylor.
I have to admit, I was happy to see that you met with our MP Gallant, but after your meeting with her on Facebook, there were a variety of photos of her as she went to various businesses throughout the Cobden area anyway, which was nice to see that she just didn't come in and leave. It was nice to see that she scoured out the area. So, yeah.
So I had the opportunity, I don't know if you noticed, but she met with each one of our summer students that were available here in the building, just to recognize the summer jobs program that she supports and advocates pretty heavily for. So she was a little surprised with the numbers that we had, but I asked her to forget that after she walked through the door. She was surprised with how many students we were approved. Good. Any other comments or questions? Good. Sorry, CAO? No? Good. With that, we're going to move on to public comments. Is there any public comments on any of the agenda items?
None received.
Excellent. And we'll move on to item 10.1. Sorry? And we did 3. 10.1, which is a zoning bylaw amendment. This is the 17-962 Highway 17 one that we heard in our public meeting. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region receive the following report for information and public consultation purposes. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Trim and Councillor Bell. Good. Given that the CAO has already presented this to us in the public meeting, sorry, I'll ask CAO, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I wouldn't.
Good, so I'll go to my mover first. Councillor Trim, any comments or questions that you have on this item at this point in time? Councillor Bell? Any other member of council? Good, thank you. And with that, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? And it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 10.2, which is a zoning bylaw amendment for 1142 Magnesium Road. The recommendation is that Council of Township Whitewater Region receive the following report for information and public consultation purposes. A mover, please. Councillor Trim and Councillor Tabbert is our seconder. Again, CEO, anything you wanted to add, given that has already been presented to us in our public meeting portion? Good. Councillor Trim, anything? Yes? Good. Councillor Tabbert, anything? No? Anyone else? Okay, the only thing I'll add before we call for a vote is I said it during the public consultation period. We are working with MTO about access to the highway, not just for in this specific case, but across all the development that could impact in Whitewater Region. Once we have more information, we'll share that with council. Good. And with that, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Good. Next is 10.4. I'm skipping 10.3. We heard it already. 10.4 is the 2025 Departmental Work Plan, an update from our staff. The recommendation is the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region receive the 2025 Department Work Plan update for information purposes. A mover, please. Deputy Mayor and a seconder. Councillor Tabbert. She is quick on the draw today. Keep writing out your name. Good. With that, I turn it over to the CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much. So what we've done here is just provided an update on the departmental work plan. This is something that we've done in the last couple of years. This August update on progress. But we've been doing departmental work plans since 2021. I think my predecessor did CAO work plans before that. So the departmental work plan was originally presented to council in early February and received and approved. And the departmental work plan includes 26 strategies, which outlines activities, resources, which outlines associated activities, resources, and timing. These strategies are in keeping with the township strategic plan, strategic direction from council, and alignment with within our organization. So I won't be going through each item, but I will highlight, just reiterate what was noted in February is that we've made one key adjustment with the integration and consolidation of corporate strategies, objectives, and actions, which advance the organization as a whole and aims to break down departmental silos. So while we are already at the beginning of August, there's 5 months left in the year. So there is some work left to do, but we have strived to challenge ourselves to do many activities, and we're going to continue to work with that throughout the rest of the year. So to my fellow managers, if you wanted to add anything, now would be the time. Otherwise, I'll defer back to the members of council for any questions on the report and August update. To my managers, anything you'd add? I'm not seeing anything, so back to you, Mayor, if there's any questions from the members of council. Thanks so much.
Thank you, CAO, and a very detailed report that's enclosed in here. And I'll just remind council that this is where you're curious, why hasn't this project been done, or where is the status of this, or I haven't heard back on this item. This is your opportunity to make sure that it's here. If it isn't in this table, staff aren't working on it. If it's in this table and it says expected in 2026 instead of being finished in 2025, and you don't know why it's expected in 2026 instead of 2025, now is your time to ask that question to staff. Right? And it also gives them an indication of if someone puts a notice of motion forward and says, yes, I want to do this extra piece of work that hasn't been included in the work plan to date, staff look at their work plan, see if it fits in, and either come back and say it's achievable or it's not, what's the timeline, and whether or not they may need additional contracted support, as an example, in order to achieve that additional task. So this is a foundational document from a council perspective. It basically is the way we steer this great big ship that doesn't turn on a dime. Good. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions. I've got a mover here is our Deputy Mayor. So Deputy Mayor, you get to go first.
Thank you. No, I think I am good. The only thing I may ask is if in the next meeting, if we could get a printout of that, because I thank you so much, or sometime. Thank you.
Noted by the clerk. And our seconder is Councillor Tabbert. More.
Just something that comes to mind, and it's provide safety and access for recreational purposes. I'm wondering if, when we start budget deliberations, if we could add also in there porta potties for the 2 boat launches for the summer months. I am getting a lot of requests for that.
Just in case we get someone reading, watching this video online, can you tell me what page you're on?
It's item 22, page 5 of 7.
Good. So 5 of 7.
It's right at the bottom of the page.
Yes. So item 22.
Safe access. So I would like to see that to include the feasibility of porta potty
into next year's plan.
Into next year's budget.
How do you want to handle that, staff?
I see the treasurer noting that as potential operational funds or part of the operational budget, and our manager will certainly track it as well. So recognizing that the Westmeath boat launch is a capital project still in progress. And then as the councillor noted, the review of beaches and parks. So we'll make a note of it and include as part of operations in the 2026 budget. Thanks.
Okay, and I also have a second one.
Yeah.
It's item 15. It's the previous page. Promote the retention and expansion of existing businesses. I'm wondering where the feasibility of water rates and metering will come into play with this, because I am receiving phone calls and requests that maybe metering should be coming sooner than later, and I really don't see that anywhere on this list. So I'm wondering if that could be included in that as a portion of retention.
I don't know if it's 15 as much it would be in one of the public works numbers, but CAO, any?
Yeah, I would just note, so the water, I guess there was two parts, I think, to the question. One was water rates. I mean, water rates are evaluated annually as part of the budget process. So when we come into our, this fall with our 2026 budget, council will have to make some decisions around the water rates, and those could likely be based on the water and wastewater rate study that we did. As it pertains to metering, I'd have to refer back to the Water Wastewater Task Force to see kind of what the priorities were, and perhaps we could try to examine some cost estimates for a capital budget item in 2026. But noted, one, for the water rates, they'll be part of the budget, and then noted also that the potential of water metering for either commercial, high level, high, low, medium, as part of the capital budget for 2026.
And that will start probably in October, September, October?
We'd expect that we're going to be seeking budget direction in late September, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm just trying to find, oh, there it is. Item number 25 has the adoption of the Water Wastewater Task Force recommendations. So that may be a sub-point under that, item number 25.
Sorry, I missed that one.
Yeah. So you're just highlighting the prioritization of metering, the considerations for metering. Is that fair? Yeah, okay, good. CAO's nodding. Any other, yeah, Councillor Trim.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and I think I've commented on this before. I've seen this a number of times now, and each time I see it, I still am amazed at how many activities and how much work is going in the background. And I know that in work plans, they don't put in, they can't anticipate the emergencies. And so the emergencies that we have had with respect to our computer services and whatnot are in addition to all of this. And it's just page after page. And I still am I'm amazed at how much gets accomplished here. And so I know we all feel the same way, that really appreciate the work that staff are doing.
Yeah, thank you for that comment, and I think that is echoed by everybody here around the table. Good. Any other questions or comments? I just have one, and I've gone through it, so I just picked up item number 25. It talks about the procurement of water and wastewater system operations. And it says expected, but not and I'm not sure what that item is, and if it's Q3 or Q4.
You want me to, I mean, at your discretion, maybe I'll pass it over to the manager to provide some more details. Thanks.
Yes. Yeah, so as part of the, I believe it was part of the task force, and then also with council, it was to actually go out for procurement for water and wastewater. Yeah, and then that will be, it was supposed to be originally in 2025. It would actually be pushed off.
Yeah, yeah, and we approved that already as a separate item that came to council.
It will be addressed in a report in September, so
Yeah.
we will be coming to council with some details on that in September. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. Doesn't trigger anything else for anyone else? Good. All right, so please take this home. That's homework reading for council. Yeah, we can always come back to it as a reference point. So if there are questions, this is a good foundation for you to be able to speak to staff about in terms of what's going on and how do you fit in your highest priority item, whatever that might be. Good. So we'll call for a vote on this item then. All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Good. And with that, we're running close to the end of our timeline here, so I'm going to have to ask if council would like to consider extending the meeting by 30 minutes. So moved by Councillor Trim, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Call for a vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Everything's unanimous. Thank you. Good. Next item is 10.5 Land Rental Agreement, Ross Concession 1 WML. I think that's west of Muskrat Lake. Part of Lot 3, Highway 17. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region enact a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter a land rental agreement to govern the use of the township billboard on private property. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Going over to the CAO.
Yeah, thanks so much. So this report pertains to a land rental agreement with Heather McLeod, who's the landowner of the said property. This billboard is the one that you see coming into Cobden from Pembroke. It's on the right side, and I've attached to the report just what the billboard says. So back in 2022, we had proposed to change the design of the billboard. And at that time, we had been working on other land rental agreements with other billboard owners. We have another one on the south side of our community, just before the Highway 17 sort of parking station for transports. But in any case, we entered into an agreement at that point in time for a 3-year term, which is set to expire at the end of this year. That agreement essentially had an annual rental fee of $700 and per year, and it was a 3-year term with automatic renewals for successive two-year terms. So in discussion with the owner, we recognize that the increasing costs just as a result of many different factors, but ultimately it was indicated to us that they could certainly rent the sign for much greater money. So we've come to agree on a set amount. So we would increase the cost annual fee from $700 to $1,000 in the first year, $1,100 the second year, and $1,200 for the third year. So they had originally requested $1,200 immediately, but we've been able to work our way to that amount over a few years. So better to transition the operating budget. So staff are supportive of this. At this point in time, we are not proposing to change the billboard. The billboard replacement ranges between $3,000 to $4,000. So if we were to replace the design, then it would cost us about that. So maybe that's something we examine in the near future. But for the present moment, the billboard will remain, and we're recommending that we move forward with the agreement. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Movers, Councillor Moore, any questions?
I do. I'm not really sure if this is the place for it, but there are 2 other locations that I'm aware of signage, and perhaps we have agreements. So can this agreement be worked in and so they're all coming due at the same time? Is that feasible rather than sort of pick 1 or 2 a year?
My recommendation is that unless the owners connect with us to seek out changes to the terms of the agreement, we keep the agreements as is. So we do have one. It's held with Mr. McLaughlin on Highway 17 on the south side of our community, and it has reoccurring terms. So every 2 years it reoccurs, but it's at the lesser rate. So I would recommend that we status quo it and we leave as is. There's another billboard that is located near the industrial park. It's sort of a V-shaped one. It was a former Cogeco sign that we were given the sign following some terms. I've tried to work with the property owner there and have not come to terms with any advertising on that sign. At this point, I have not committed any time to trying to re-engage that property owner. I had some very difficult time managing that, so I've kind of just let it go for the time being. I know that there's other advertisings on it, but in any case, we could re-explore that in 2026, perhaps.
Is there not another sign, a fourth sign, top of Meath Hill?
Top of Meath Hill, there's a Whitewater billboard. I think it's on MTO property, and we don't have an agreement for that.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. And our seconder was the deputy mayor. No comments. Any comments, or Councillor Bell?
Just wondering, just looking at the kind of proposed design at the bottom, it says support local business. Is there any opportunity to possibly increase the size of the sign on either side and look to local businesses that might want to advertise with the township in association with the township on something like this?
Like to add in sort of panels all the way around it to generate some revenue to offset the cost?
Something to that effect.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I will confer back with our manager of community services to see if that's maybe an opportunity there, or with the community development department for economic development. But a great idea. We'll follow up. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Perfect. Good. We'll call for a vote then. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is 10.6, the Rural Transit Solutions Fund. This is a project update. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region receive this update report for information purposes on the Rural Transit Solutions Fund project. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Moore and seconded by Councillor Bell. And this is going over to the treasurer.
Thank you. So as most of you remember, back in 2023, the township was approached by the Township of Watershed Valley, as well as North Algonah Wilberforce, to seek interest in participating in a grant application that would allow us to purchase one electric vehicle per municipality, purchase electric or charging stations, and set up a vehicle rental program. That grant was approved, and in January of this year, Council of Whitewater Region, through the bylaw, executed a partnership agreement with the Township of Watershed Valley, North Algonah Wilberforce, and ourselves to receive funding through the Rural Transit Solutions Fund, RTSF. So the purpose of this program and this project provides the residents of Whitewater Region, Watershed Valley, and North Algonah Wilberforce with the ability to rent an electric vehicle from their municipality, as well as have access to charging stations within the municipality. So originally the grant was set up that the federal government would provide an investment of up to $387,302. That's split between the three municipalities. And each municipality would have to contribute approximately $43,000 worth of funds over the term of 3 years in order to support their portion of the project, because their federal funding provided 80%. That was to purchase the vehicles, the rental program, and the charging stations. It was noted that during the point in time, the project had to work or operate for 5 years. The funding was going to support it for 3, and then there was maintaining funding after this point in time just to keep everything operational at that point in time. Watershed Valley has estimated that cost to sit around the $20,000 mark, less any revenue that comes in, which was estimated around $10,000. So the estimate was about a $10,000 operating cost in year 4 and 5. So since the original report that was brought by the CAO for this, there's been a few different changes. One was the cost. So first I'll talk about the charging stations. So originally it was proposed to have 2 level 3 chargers installed within the township. However, between the 2023 point in time, whenever the actual grant was applied for, and through consultation with all the manufacturers and providers of these chargers, it was too cost prohibitive to have 2, and it was worked back down to 1, due to the fact that you need special hydro service, you need a special transformer system. It's not just the actual charger itself and the location to put it. So during this time, and this decrease down to 1 charging station, was where to put it. So then I was brought to staff, I brought to staff the option of potentially putting in, instead of going with a level 3 charger, to change to a level 2 charger. Slightly slower charging system, but allow us to purchase more of them. And the idea is to purchase 7 of these chargers and place them in strategic locations to make the entire township electric vehicle accessible. Right now, if you look at a map for electric vehicles, out to as far as Westmeath, out as far as Haley's, it's a black zone. You go out there, you're kind of pushing the end of your reach if you don't have a full charge when you go out there to try and come back. So by installing chargers out there, it makes the entire township accessible to electric vehicles who don't already live in the area that own an electric vehicle. So that's that part. The proposed locations for them at this point in time is the Cobb Astrolabe Arena, the Beachburg Arena, the Westmeath Arena, and then in front of the Forsters Falls Fire Hall. The 3 arenas all have the power sources available to them. All charging stations would be on township property. And the fire hall, there's still a little bit of an investigation that has to do for a charging system, but that would just come through. I've included 4 drawings at the end as attachments as to show the proposed locations. Westmeath is the only caveat is there's 2 options. There's 2 separate electrical panels there, one on the building and also one at the ball field. So either the charging station could be mounted at the ball field area, away from the building, or it could be mounted near the building. All of these stations will be standalone. So should something come down the line of it's not the location to have them, they could potentially be moved because the actual system, the only cost we would be re-incurring is installation cost. The charging stations are standalone on their own tower with a cable management system and are very well designed and well created. So that's that piece. So while there is an increased installation cost in going in 4 locations rather than just a single charger, the savings from not having to go through adding services for the hydro to have the level 3 charger, buying the transformer, and then buying the actual unit itself, which apparently it has a price tag around $48,000. It's a savings to the township and actually decreases the amount I was speaking to earlier of the township's contribution out in, and will help towards that operating cost in the end because these charging stations require less ongoing costs. The electric vehicles, so the tender just went out and it just closed on July 16th. I haven't heard yet as to the results of that. The tender was issued jointly by the Township of Watershed Valley, and they received all the tender submissions. So I'm curious as to what will come back from that. But we were looking for an all-wheel drive SUV, fully electric, and I think it'll be a very. Our specifications made it very user-friendly and family-friendly as a vehicle for all-season use, including winter. We asked for snow tires, all-wheel drive, all those type of things, just to make it that vehicle still be accessible to the area. And then the last part is the vehicle rental program provider. So what we're looking at is actually being completely hands-off in the control of the actual vehicle. The program provider we're looking at now, it hasn't been awarded. Watershed Valley is finishing up that chunk. But they will actually control and run the rental piece. So we will just receive revenue, but we won't have to deal with the actual rental itself. They will check the insurance piece. Everybody will submit everything through them. They'll collect the revenue and pay us back. Should something happen with the vehicle, they will deal with bringing the vehicle back to the main location or having it towed or moved, whatever needs to be done. They will control all that stuff, and it won't have to fall back on township staff to take on that extra bit of operational hindrance, I should say. So the project itself, whenever we originally passed the 2025 capital budget, or operating budget, there was a $35,000 earmark put to that side, which was coming from the Ottawa River Power Reserve. At this point in time, it doesn't look like we should have to dip into that very, very much due to the fact of the timing of the actual project being done and this decrease in cost rather than doing the level 3 charger. And there's 2 sides to it. This program, yes, it has to exist for 5 years, but there's a point in time where we'll be able to review it to see if it is a effective program in renting the vehicle out to the public, or if there's very little utilization in it, the vehicle will just become part of the township's fleet and be utilized by a portion of the township during that time, since it was 80% funded by the grant. And then the chargers themselves, yes, they have a expected cost to maintain them yearly, but the revenue should offset that part, and those will have in perpetuity. So next is Township of Bon Cheval Valley will award the tender for the purchase of the electric vehicles. And then we're purchasing the chargers, and they're going to be sole sourced through the Canoe program. Since the charger that's selected, which is the Flow charger, is a member of the Canoe program. And then it'll be the installation of the charging stations and then the implementation of the vehicle rental program. All things hopeful, it should be either end of 2025 or early 2026 whenever we're able to launch that program. There is some debate as to whether we launch in the winter or whether we wait till spring, just to kind of iron out some kinks of the program since we are all starting this program new. And any other questions?
If I could, yeah, if I could just add on the point of the electric vehicle. So the tender did come back, and there was one proposal that was within the budget. So the strategy is that because the tender was put out by Bon Cheval Valley, they would be the ones that award it. But we do have a vehicle that is available to us that's within the budget set by the funding project. So there's a vehicle lined up. We just need to get BV to approve it. Thanks.
Perfect. Excellent. Questions then? I'll start with movers, Councillor Moore.
No, I'm just, I think it should go ahead. I think it'd be an advantage to the township to have all these chargers installed, et cetera. And now if the money is available, it certainly saves us from doing it on our own. So I would like to see this proceed.
Good. Seconder was Councillor Bell.
Yeah, I liked everything in that report. I think the 7 across the township is a good strategy. The one thing, just looking at the maps as to the proposed locations, they all look good to me, except for maybe at Astrolabe Arena. The parking there, for any of you who've used the parking lot in a tournament or a busy Saturday or Sunday, parking's kind of at a premium, especially with the snow movement and throughout the year in January, February. I'm just concerned there that we're taking away possibly from handicap parking right outside the rink. Especially with the tournaments, there's a number of older individuals. The rink isn't very accessible as it is to those coming in wheelchairs and those sorts of things. So that might just be one thing to consider as far as the placement goes. We're taking away the prime parking locations for some potential handicap or mobility limited individuals. So just something to consider.
Noted, thank you. The only reason we were locating there was just due to the actual hydro service. And we, at this point in time, we're not actually removing any disability spots. We're just putting them next to it, but that is noted. Thank you.
Good. Other questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. So just one question. Right now, we have a charging station here, Ottawa River Energy Solutions. So would we just continue with that same through Ottawa River Energy Solutions?
No, so these ones would actually be separate from it. So Ottawa River Power Energy Solutions got that charger as a part through a grant as well a number of years ago, and they administer that charger themselves.
Right.
Ours would be addition to, and we would actually be the owners of these chargers. So the township would actually be the end owner of them and the maintainer of them and the receiver of all the revenue from them. Okay. So we would actually be the ones, we get to pick the rate that we decide to charge, whether it's $2.50 an hour or however the charging system works. I don't have an electric vehicle, so I'm not up on that part, but it would be whether it's $2.50 like every 15 minutes or $9 for the entire charge. I've seen a big range of them, and so that's kind of how they normally set them up. Like I've even seen them set up in doing the research through these that you charge at $2.50 per, like say 15-minute interval, and as soon as your car is full, it can tell, and there's a parking charge of 25 cents a minute. So they want you to move out of that parking spot. So there's lots of different ways that you can set it up. And these chargers are set with a billing system into them that they will automatically do that. You just need to pick which way you want and what's most equitable for that part.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Trim.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. Number one, I think the choice of level 2 charger is a good one because the adoption of electric vehicles seems to be that many people are purchasing plug-in hybrids which use level 2 charging. And so I think that's a good idea. And secondly, I think that I would vote for option 2 at Westmeath because at the Ball Diamond, that's where quite a high windrow of snow accumulates because it's pushed to clear the parking lot, and there would be a danger also of damage, not intentional at all, but by the snowplow. So I would put it at the building and be very well protected and on pavement, and so that would be my suggestion. But I really think this is a good project for the township. Thank you.
Perfect. Anything else? The one concern, it comes back to parking, and I'm looking at manager of community services because the fear is that during hockey season, the hockey parent that arrives first or last is going to use that parking spot, whether or not they have an electric vehicle or not, which will then exclude its use for its own purpose. So as long as we acknowledge that there's going to become a management issue now, people might complain and say, I'd like to plug in, but I can't plug in. It's a hockey person there. I understand why you're picking the area, the facility, and the locations, but it is a consideration. It's going to create another problem that we'll have to be prepared to deal with. Sorry.
I'm just going to add that I'm absolutely shocked at the amount of parents who actually are hockey parents. I couldn't do it living in Barry's Bay, but have electric vehicles. Okay. So I will say that when we're driving arena to arena, it's very odd that you don't see an arena with electric chargers nowadays.
Good. Okay. I feel more comfortable. So good. The second one is just the Beachburg location. I'm assuming that red square on the chart is township property.
That's correct. It'd be our road allowance portion there, and then we also own the septic, where the septic bed is, which is right directly behind that. So the square extends out that way of that property. That's why that portion was chosen over around the side of the building where the bullpen canteen is. That's why it was more chosen to be at the front. It has been noted that there's a fire hydrant there, so we'll have to be placed away from that as well. So the exact placement might be a little further away from the building than the actual image is right now, but in that general location.
That's perfect. Good. The last comment is just with Foresters Falls. Knowing that the amount of traffic that the Historical Society and the Senior Center get, why was this recommended over the Historical Society Senior Center?
The main reason was parking, because there's due to the new septic system and all the stuff in the backyard because the only real location was the back behind the seniors building location. But one of the stipulations of this grant is it's supposed to be accessible to the public. By putting it behind there, you'd potentially have a hindrance of someone parking in an inopportune spot to charge their vehicle back there and not have the seniors be able to. By putting it in a more front-facing location at the fire hall, there's more overall space, and it's not as confined. It's more just out in the open for people to see and to utilize.
Perfect. The last comment I'll make is I think this is a great initiative. I think we're building on a demand that's going to last long into our future. I would encourage that if this project goes well and we can make it work, that we can consider other locations. What comes to mind here in Cobden would be the open area beside Sour Joe's. It is a county-owned property as part of the Algonquin Trail, where if people came to charge their vehicle or charge their electric bike, they would then be on Main Street and would stop and shop while the vehicle was charging, as an example of some future project, should this one be successful and there be future grant opportunities. I plant that seed now. Good. No other questions or comments? We'll call for the vote. All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Good. That concludes the report section of the agenda. We're on to notices of motion. And just a quick update on the two outstanding.
We still have Watchhorn Drive, large vehicles, and Beachburg water main breaks.
Good, and you saw that in our presentation that we had from staff. I think it was in the quarterly report. Both are coming in the fall. Any new notices of motion? Okay, I see none. Correspondence, there is and sorry, I'm going to keep powering through. We have 16 minutes left. I'm going to try here. Requiring direction is the State of Soil Health request from the Standing Senate Committee on Agriculture and Forestry, and is a very long report, 160 pages, created by the Senate, and with recommendations to protect our soil and our soil health. It's being led by the Honorable Robert Black, one of our senators. The recommendation before us on this is that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region urge the Government of Canada and the Province of Ontario to implement all the recommendations contained within the report and commit to recognizing a sense of urgency and act accordingly in order to protect and conserve, as per recommendation 25. That might be a typo. Protect and conserve our soil, maybe? I'm going to get the clerk to just quickly. Our soil. And that this motion be circulated to Robert Black, the senator, John Nader, which is the MP, I think, of Robert Black's location, Billy Deneau, Cheryl Gallant, the Standing Committee at the Senate, the municipalities in the County of Renfrew, and OFA. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, for that recommendation? Councillor Moore and Councillor Tabbert. Is there any input from the staff on this item, CAO, at this point in time? So you've had a chance to, or sorry,
I would only just note, I mean, through the clerk, when we discussed this agenda item, recognizing the length of the report, nothing would prevent in a procedural manner for this item to come back at the next meeting in September to give the opportunity for members of council to read through the 164-page report before they move the resolution. But I leave that to the discretion of the members of council, and over back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I will say that county has received the same request, the same report, and has deferred it to the Economic Development Committee of Agriculture. I can't remember the exact name of it, waiting for them to make a recommendation to council. So that would fall in line with what the CEO has mentioned. We could choose to defer making a decision upon this until after we see the county's recommendation from their committee, or if you feel comfortable with what you've read or feel, we could proceed as you see fit. So I leave it to council. I will entertain if there's another motion, or if you want me to call a vote. Yes, Councillor Bell.
I'd suggest we just defer it to the September meeting.
Good. Motion to defer from Councillor Bell. I need a seconder, right?
You do, but can I?
Yeah.
Do you want to wait till the middle of September, the September 3rd meeting, or the second meeting in September? I wonder if
Yeah, Deputy Mayor seconded. I don't debate motions to defer, so we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Good, so that's deferred to September 3rd. Procedural bylaw worked. It's all good. Information items. We have a number of information items. I'll list them here. The Renfrew County MLS. The second thing is the Flood Hazard Identification and Mapping Program project application. The third one was our Seniors Community Grant Program approval. Then there's the LT2. I can't remember what LT stands for.
I believe it's long-term.
Long-term. 2, procurement process. That's for the storage of power. And the last one is the Strong Mayor's Power Memo. I will speak to that one at the end here, but is there any comments or questions from any member of council on A through D? Yes, Councillor Trim.
If it can be stated briefly, I'm wondering why we didn't meet the modeling criteria for the grant for the flood hazard mapping grant application.
Perfect. CAO, could you speak to that?
Yeah, and it was an interesting situation. We, members of the provincial ministry staff reached out to me before they sent us the letter to explain to us why we were not eligible for the grant. So what we had thought of doing is that the province had completed some new elevation mapping, some LiDAR mapping they call it, which is very, very detailed with respect to the elevations of, I think it's all of Ontario, at least definitely in Renfrew County. And we had wanted to superimpose the flood elevation information we have from the late 80s, early 90s to that LiDAR mapping. And what the ministry staff have indicated is that because you're not doing, taking existing data is not eligible, what you would need to do is do another, you'd have to reassess the regulatory flood elevation, the flood elevations, that fulsome study to become eligible for funding. And I think the funding model was 50% of the cost of the project. So if we're going to model our section of the Ottawa River to get new flood elevations, it's extremely, extremely costly, at least as far as we've investigated. So we never applied for that because it's extremely expensive. They did send me a couple reports, which I'll share with staff for the next funding. A couple reports that were, I think one was done by the City of Ottawa and another one in a neighboring community, where they did that flood the new flood hazard mapping. So they reprogrammed what the Ottawa River was like. So we could look at those reports, maybe scope an application to better get a sense of what the cost would be. But because we're using existing data, not generating new data, it was ineligible for funding.
Good. Anyone else? Any questions on those first four? Could Manager of Community Services, could you speak to the seniors grant quick?
Sure. So the seniors community grant was applied for to be able to fund for Meals on Wheels, specifically with the Aging Well at Home grant funding ending. We needed a way to be able to continue with some services. And so this grant is providing us funding for staff as well as some Meals on Wheels subsidies going forward and volunteer driving dollars to be able to continue with this.
Awesome. I love it when we get a grant, especially from the seniors. It's almost like they like us. We'll take it. Good. Strong mayor powers. And I'm just watching the clock, and I don't think I'm going to get it done in 9 minutes, this and the closed session. So you need more time for the closed session?
At the discretion of council, in my quick conversations with staff, is if we had to extend beyond 4:30, there are some staff that are available to stay late, so we can continue beyond 4:30.
How much more time past 4:30?
I would think probably about 15 to 20 minutes to get through the memo and the information. Yes.
Is there a desire from council, and I would need like 2/3 a vote, to extend from 4:30 to 5 p.m.? Yeah, a mover, Councillor Morris, seconded by Councillor Trim. Moore and Trim. So this is an extension till 5 p.m. and I will call for the vote. All those in favor? One. Any opposed? It's carried. 1 opposed, 5 in favor. Okay, good. Strong mayor's powers. The enclosed document that the clerk has put outlines the situation that I've decided to go, which is to delegate as much as possible to the CAO and council. So with that decision includes the creation of a standard operating procedure that explains the procedures for delegating the strong mayor powers. Just how does it work? What if I'm sick and the deputy mayor stepped in? What's the CAO do with what I delegate to the CAO? What's council do? Including the veto process and the budget process. So the clerk has got 2 drafts. This wasn't included in the package, but she is currently working on these 2 drafts to go through. So you'll see that come back to you at some point with that direction. And the second thing is a dedicated web page that will be created that include all the directions and decisions, so that anyone can go back and say, in accordance with this delegated authority, this is exactly what the mayor, the position of the mayor has decided to do. Good, including the delegation. A lot of people are going to ask me to confirm what exactly did I delegate. I can't delegate the budget process, and because of the timelines that we use already, having it done before the end of the prior fiscal year, we're going to be well within the timelines that's been allocated. So I can't delegate that. We'll just I will type out direction to state that we're going to follow the same process we did last year, but I can't delegate it to council. So it will be clear. The clerk will do up a letter that'll basically say, staff, please execute the budget planning as we did last year. Good, and then we'll follow the timelines within the new legislation. What I am able to delegate is the hiring or dismissing of division or department heads, the alternating of the organizational structure, the appointment of the CAO, the creation or dissolution of committees comprised solely of council members. All of those 4 functions will be delegated back to the CAO for those that deal with staffing, and council when it comes to committees and appointment of the CAO. Good, so that'll formally appear in these 2 directives that the clerk is going to produce. Good. I can take any questions. If you want to, you can sit down with the clerk and go through it in some detail if you were looking some more of the I's and the T's. But is there any questions at this point in time on that direction? The letter that's enclosed in the package outlines why, and personally, I believe that staff can't be making recommendations for fear of being fired, or for fear of not giving the mayor what he wants. So that's the reason why I've pushed it down, so that the recommendations that they make are in good faith for the best thing for the corporation, not the best thing for a specific position on council. Good. Fair? Good. That leads us into announcements. So we'll start with the deputy mayor.
Nothing at this time, thank you, Mayor.
Good. And Councillor Bell. Good. Councillor Tabbert, give us your list, please.
The Pioneer Day in Bake Sale is at the Ross Museum this Saturday from 1 to 4. And then, of course, the Cobden Fair is coming up, too. So that's all I have. Oh, no, and then there's also I have a feeling maybe the closing barbecue at the Ross Museum on August 23rd.
23rd, yeah. Okay.
That's all I have that I can think of.
Good, and I'll go to Councillor Moore next.
One you missed, the annual general meeting in the Muskrat Watershed is coming up on the 21st of August, and I believe it is downstairs from 6:30 to 8. And that is open to anyone, especially if you're a member, they'd like you to attend, but if you're not, they'd like you to sign up, so please come. So that's annual general meeting of the Muskrat Watershed, August 21st, downstairs.
Perfect, and Councillor Trim.
Nothing at this time, thanks.
Excellent, and all my announcements have already been covered, so this is perfect. Good. Next is bylaws. The bylaws listed at item number 14 on our agenda. The first one that would appear on your agenda, item, it says 25-08-1778, is excluded from the bylaws that will be taken as read and passed. Good. So there are 2 zoning amendments and then the confirmatory bylaw. The recommendation, be it resolved that the bylaws listed on the August 9th, 2025 agenda be taken as read and passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Trim. Any final comments, questions, thoughts? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Good. The next item is a closed item, and it has to do with the Cobden wastewater treatment plant. The recommendation is the Council of Township Whitewater Region move into closed session at 4:29 PM as per Section 9 of the procedural bylaw to discuss litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, specifically Cobden wastewater treatment plant. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Moore, Councillor Bell, and I will call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Oh. Okay, which one, sorry?
The zoning amendment,
Yeah,
17963, Highway 17 should be 17962.
That's the one that did not.
we removed that one. We removed that one.